Dan Sileo. I am stoked about week 11 of the NFL. Some great games. And now, you know what? We're in playoff mode. This is playoff mode. By the way, I want to rip Eagle fans for a little bit. Just for a little bit here. In a good way, sarcastic way. Yeah, you too, Tone. You guys are so spoiled. You're just spoiled. In a good way. You're spoiled. Spoiled. You know, I want to do something here. So, you guys have really, probably I would say since what? 1990? Somewhere in there, or when Reggie. How you doing? Care what Tone's going to say here. He's spoiled. Oh, shucks. Hang on. You guys probably since 90 have seen some of the best football and some of the best football players in league history run through your city. How would you like to be the Chicago Bears? In 61 years, you've only had 3 decent teams. The 63 title team, the 85 Bears, and what was that thing? The 07 Bears that went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Colts. They've had 3 teams in 61 years that were decent. The rest of them sucked. Can you imagine being a Chicago Bear fan? You're rooting for nothing. You're going nowhere. You make consistently shitty moves. You do nothing right. You don't draft right. You don't recruit right. You don't evaluate right. You don't sign free agents right. You do nothing right. Nothing. You do nothing right. We won 22 or 26. This ain't enough. You're bitching about 8-1. So spoiled. It's almost narcissistic. You guys are like narcissists. I mean, not that I don't mind that. Hey, not that I don't mind that. You've had 3 teams in 61 years. Shit. I mean, you know what? Wheels just goes like this. That would be like being a Browns fan. How incredibly disgusting are the Cleveland Browns organization for making it seem that Deshaun Watson didn't want to play when he had structural issues in his shoulder and he was telling you, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. And the last game, he's 14 of 14 in the fourth quarter, playing through injury. This is why. You know what I hear from media, even on our channel and radio stations in Philly? This is why these doctors, they have the best doctors on the planet, and they take care of their players. No, they don't. There's a conflict of interest. You're paid by the owner, not by the Players Association. The Cleveland Browns, because they have invested over $250 million in Deshaun Watson, played an injured player. And then the head coach comes out and says, he's been cleared. Then we find out this morning that he has to have emergency surgery because there's massive structural damage. Players Association's the worst in the planet. The Browns do not... They've had numerous situations when it comes to their medical care for their players that goes back 3 decades. How about the staph infection all the players got because they weren't cleaning the showers and the work area to standards so that the players wouldn't get sick. You can go back and chronicle so many different things that they have done. I ripped Deshaun. This is why I have to always remember not to be a scumbag media guy and just remain being a talk show host. I hate many of the people in my business because they're lowlifes, and I get dragged into it because I work in this business for 35 years, and I have to always remember, never trust a doctor that is employed by an NFL team, ever. Never trust them because they do not have your best interest. They only have the owner's best interest. Terrible. That's such a terrible thing. I'm sorry. Hey, Deshaun Watson, I'm sorry. You were playing hurt, bad ankle, bad shoulder, concussion. He's trying to play through it. He's telling people, I got structural damage. I should have listened to the player instead of the organization. I don't know what's wrong with me sometimes. I get sucked into, I guess, like everyone else. That's my fault. Deshaun, I'm sorry, dude. I mean, you played a guy and you cleared him, knowing full well he's got rotator issues, and the last game finished him off, and you still played his ass. You're damn right, senor. You're damn right I said that. Because the organization made me believe that. Because Kevin Stefanski said that publicly. That's why you never trust the coach. They lie. Coaches lie. Teams lie. The NFL lies. And the Players Association does dick about it. That's why you get many former players that are dying. You see, you got to always remember something. You're damn right, senor, I should know better. 27,000 men over 100 years have played in the NFL. There's only 16,000 of us alive today. Okay? I'm one of them. They're not going to ever give benefits to all the players. They're just going to wait for us to die. Keep it in court. Let these guys die. They care about player safety. You think the Browns care about Deshaun Watson's safety? Or do they care more about their investment? And if you can't play, they'll get an insurance policy because they have one on them already. Give a shit about player health. They talk a big game. Now, I'm not saying that that's across the board, that there aren't organizations that don't go overboard when it comes to player safety. I'm sure there are. You think the Cardinals do? The Cardinals are thought of as one of the worst organizations when it comes to player care. You got to pay for Cokes when you work at the Cardinals in the cafeteria. Okay? Hey, look at Purdy. The Eagles are hiding Hurts' injury. They should hide it. As long as they're not hiding it from the player. They're hiding it from you? Me? Who cares? Why should I give more intel to the Kansas City Chiefs knowing that the level of injury for Hurts? That's not what I'm talking about here. They should hide his injury. Why? The media doesn't need an explanation. You got to stop understanding. They're not the law. They cover us. We're not accountable to them. When a guy like Selsky or any of these guys from the Inquirer or from the NFL Network, I don't owe you anything. You cover me. I'm not accountable to you. Belichick has always that's why the media hates him and why they're after his ass and his job now is because he's taken a shit on him for 25 years. That's why they don't like him. You ever notice the people look at a guy like here's a great example of how somebody covers somebody. Media hated Barry Bonds, right? They love Kirby Puckett. Come to find out, Kirby Puckett is sexually assaulting women on a basis constantly, either inside the Minnesota Twins organization or outside of it. But because Bonds was not very accessible to the media, you took a shit on Bonds. Kirby Puckett gets in the Hall of Fame because he put this illusion out that he was a good guy, and he's not. I mean, if I don't treat you well, I'm not going to cover you well. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Look at Aaron Rodgers. That's why the media keeping people like T.O. Like T.O. T.O.'s a dick. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? Of course he is. He's probably one of the top 3 receivers in the history of the game. Maybe the second best to Rice. And they punished him because he was a dick. Not because of something else. Can you imagine that? You took my legacy and my career and turned it into your vote and made yourself relevant using my name. That's my problem with the media. They kept him off the first ballot because he was a dick. Okay, yeah, hey, I have to look. I didn't know that was the bylaws on how you get into the Hall of Fame. Deshaun Watson gets that money, and because they didn't like the way Deshaun Watson behaved when he was in Houston, which is none of your business. This is not the league of good dudes. You're a reporter or a supposed journalist that covers the team. You're not a moralist. But you like to add that shit in. Okay? You like to add that shit in on being a moralist. I hate these Johnny do-gooders. I so do, man. Okay, yeah, that's a good one, Purdy. My good friend Curt Schilling, because Curt Schilling has a different political view than you. They're keeping him out of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Hey, that's worthy. An MVP, the sock game, helped bring a World Series to the Boston Red Sox, was a dynamic pitcher with the Phillies. You keep him out because you don't like his Trump views. What a bunch of assholes. As long as they aren't hiding it from the league. That's right, Adam. On their weekly injury reports, who cares if they hide? That's right. That's right. But the media cares. Because it's how we cover some of the stuff that Tone and I were talking about yesterday. Look at how you take race and behavior to cover certain athletes instead of doing the right thing. Look at Jalen versus Dak. Who's more popular in the NFL, Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts? Who do you think? I don't think that's a debate. It's Dak Prescott. He's more popular. Here, you guys will fight me on that in here, but it's the only place you're going to win that argument is here because you'll never win that anywhere else. Jalen Hurts is not more popular than Dak. He doesn't play on the most popular team. Dak Prescott plays on the most popular team. Are they the best team? No. Have they been the most consistent team? No. Well, consistently not winning big games? Yeah. Jalen Hurts fights an uphill battle because you know why? In the media's eye, the only reason that they talk about the Eagles is because they want to piss you off so that your clicks, they're not looking for you to give them good vibes or good reviews. They incite you. And you get incited because you're passionate. This is the best I've seen Tone's behavior all year long. You know why? They didn't play a game last weekend. Hey, he's been calm, you know. You got clear takes. But you get a game around that guy as we get closer to the weekend. That Sphinxer factor with my boy starts getting a little hotter, and he starts like, got to win this game. Got to win this game, man. That's a good thing, though. It's a good thing, and that's why I love talking to you guys. I really do. That's why I love talking to you, man. Hey, by the way, we're going to talk about that Super Bowl and the last two games with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Our friend Tone will join us as he does each and every single day at 3:30. This segment. Barrett Brooks from NBC Philly will join us at 4:30. Former Eagle and Super Bowl champion will join us at 4:30, and we will get his take on that Kansas City game. I want to show you something here. That I think is going to be the determining factor of this ball game on Monday night against Kansas City and Philly. Would you bring Dorsey in? I don't want to upset anything right now. That's an off-season move. Why add that? You know, I don't need that. Now, does Dorsey know how to game plan against Kansas City and some of the AFC teams, depending on who the team is in the Super Bowl? Hypothetically, if the Bills get to the Super Bowl, I'd bring him in as a consultant. Absolutely. But right now, I want to stay status quo. I want things to be settled. I want to hear common voices. I want things to be normal. Look, the less change you make, the more opportunity you have for continuity and success. Keep adding things, changing stuff, changing formulas. You become the Bears. I tell you, the one thing that the Pittsburgh Steelers are, and they'll always be, they're the gold standard on how you win in this league for the last 60 years. Well, since 69. They're the gold standard. It changed January 17th, 1969 when they hired Chuck Noll. And only have had two other coaches since. Stability, self-awareness, self-evaluation, and player development. And not getting off their game plan. Wobbling it, moving it around, updating it. That's what the Steelers do. They don't have these knee-jerk reactions like you see in Dallas. There's no knee-jerk reaction. They don't do that in Pittsburgh. That's why they've won the most Super Bowls. Get this. Don't you see the common denominator? The least amount of head coaching changes in the most Super Bowls in the Super Bowl era is in Pittsburgh. The least amount of head coaches since 69 been hired. And the most Super Bowls equates to being the gold standard. There's no getting around that. You don't see organizations with 18 different coaches and the most Super Bowls. The less you have moving around in your front office, the reason that the Eagles have been successful since Toads and Norman Brayman, they've got a system inside the NovaCare complex. Devin goes, Patriots too. That's since Robert Kraft bought the team. They were a shit show under the Sullivans. A complete shit show. They were terrible under the Sullivans. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Tony Eason was under the Gillette guy. And it wasn't under the Sullivan family. I believe that. I think the Eason thing was under the Gillette guy, Victor Kiam. That's it. Thank you, Philly. I think that was under Victor Kiam. It may have been under the Sullivans because the SMU coach was hired. And it may have been. Anyway, there's no coincidence, stability. Here's something that you're going to look at for tonight or Monday night's game. Here are the last two games that the Chiefs and the Eagles have played. And it's kind of incredible when you think about it. How many people in here think that the Eagles have the best O-line in football? One of the top three. How many people think that? That you have one of the top three offensive lines in pro football? Not right now. I think you're top three, Devin. I think you're top three. Top five, top three. Okay. Listen to this here. Kansas City. Definitely top three. They're not playing like number one. But how about this? Can we say this about the Eagles? They have capabilities of being the number one offensive line unit in the league, right? Get this. They're not playing at their best, but they have ability to be able to be number one. I completely believe that. Listen to this. Here's the 2021 game. 42-30, Chiefs win by 12. They ran the ball in that game 32 times for 200 yards at a 6.3 clip. The Eagles ran the ball 19 times for 103. We're averaging 5.4 and abandoned the run. Why? You were on pace. You were on pace to have a 200-yard rushing game. If you would have rushed the ball as many times as Kansas City in that game, but because you got behind, you panicked. Because you didn't think your quarterback could throw you out of trouble once they got the lead. You panicked. It's not so much that the fact, look, they ran the ball because the Eagles weren't proficient enough in stopping the run. I get it. But you stopped running it. Now let's fast forward to 9 months ago. The Chiefs ran the ball 26 times. So in 2 games, they've run the ball almost 60 times on you. They had 158 yards and 6-1 a clip. So in 2 games, 6-3 and 6-1. Now I know why Patrick Mahomes didn't have to throw the ball a ton or need a ton of yards. They were getting 6 yards of play, running the ball on you. Now let's go to the other side with your best O-line. You ran the ball 32 times for 115, 3.6. They shut you down. Weren't you the second rushing team in the league last year to Chicago? The Chiefs shut that offensive line down. And I didn't really think they were that hot last year stopping the run. I didn't really think their defense was that hot. I do now. They got away because here in the 2 games, philosophy-wise, Sanders put the ball on the carpet. They got nervous that turnovers were going to hurt them. And this was after what? Did Sanders drop the ball on the carpet before the scoop and score? Or was it after the scoop and score? I think he dropped the ball on the carpet before the scoop and score, right? Okay? Yeah. First play of the game. That's right, Tone. So they saw the fumble. Then the scoop and score. They stopped running it in the second half. They stopped running it. Kansas City stuck with it. There is no doubt, in my opinion, the key to that ball game is not through the air. Mahomes is going to get his yards. But if they get 130 yards on you, rushing the ball like they have, what do they average now? Well, look at this, 358 in 2 games. They got 358 yards in 2 games against you that they've played. Pretty much the same personnel, same O-line, same quarterback, same play caller. Bieniemy part of that, I get it, but it's still Reed. If they get 130 yards on you, they're going to have the same result on you. You've got to hold them under 100. Because remember something also, what Washington does. Okay? They're averaging 100. In the last 2 games against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs have averaged 175 rushing yards on you at about 6.1 yards a carry. They're annihilating you on the run and not in the air. They're almost averaging more running the ball than throwing the ball on you. Think about that. A guy who had 5,400 yards passing and over 40 touchdowns doesn't need to throw the ball more than 180 yards against you because they've dominated you on the ground. This will be the key factor here in this game right here. Have the Eagles improved? Yes. And get this, they improved in the area that they've beaten you in. So, when we were doing those matchups on the passing game, Mahomes, because I could throw this at you here. The one thing that the Eagles are great at? Here's the most important statistic that the Eagles are great at. The Chiefs are number 1 in scoring. I think it's 29-2. And I think the Eagles are 3rd at 28-1. Seals, what did the Broncos do right that Eagles can replicate to beat the Chiefs, or does it come down to more talented secondary? Adam, let me go here with you here. Let me finish this thought here. Here's the most important statistic that the Eagles have defensively. 2 of them. Now, hey, are they still number 1 in rush defense, or have they dropped to 5? Because I saw conflicting numbers where are they still 1? Okay. Yeah, they're 13th in scoring defense. But again, Tone, the difference between 21 points and 23 points, we're talking about 1.5 points. Okay. Is that really okay? 13th versus 7th. The Eagles are 7th in points allowed. So at the end of the day, yes, it's true. They're giving up a shitload of passing yards, but they're not giving a shitload of points up. Okay? They're just not giving a ton of points up. Kansas City has to be great in the red zone. And they have to score in the red zone on the Eagles and not just put up a ton of. Hey, listen, I'll live with 450 yards passing and 60 yards rushing. I'll live with 550 yards. It's what you did against Brady. You got to almost play a game like you did against Brady when you won that 17 Super Bowl. Because I do think you're improved. Okay? You're giving points. You're giving yards up at an astounding clip. But here's something else that you have to rectify Monday night. You can't be the worst team in the National Football League in surrendering first downs, because Mahomes will be 3rd and short every single series. He'll be 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. More teams complete more first downs on your defense than any defense in the league. Okay? Those are things to look at as you go forward here. But to me, the rushing numbers, This is the game. This is going to be the game here. If Mahomes doesn't need 200 yards because the defense is better. See, they've closed that gap. They had to do all these things because the defense was still immature and not a right team yet. Well, as I said to you going into that Super Bowl, they may not have had the rankings they needed, but they were ascending. And it was getting better and better and better to where they are right now. They got more margin of error than you do. And here's the reason why they have more margin of error. They're getting turnovers. You're not. The things that are keeping teams close to you, people go like this. Sills, when you look at the number, thank you, Everett. When you look at the numbers offensively, they're kind of better than last year, actually. Yeah, but guess what you're doing? Okay? The defense is keeping the opposing offenses in third and short. Teams are winning first down on you. They're winning first down. The trends dictate that. You're the worst team in the league in first downs allowed. But where you're good, and this comes to decide, you're only 7th in points allowed. It's saving you. That number alone is why you're 8-1. And the rush defense. Because nothing's really changed offensively. Except this. The one thing for me that I have a problem with, sustained drives don't seem to be on the menu like it was a year ago, where you'd go on those 14-play drives. And that is because you're a passing team now. You're going to have more 3-and-outs. You're going to have more stalled series. And that's just what all passing teams go through that. And you're going to have more abilities to turnovers. Okay? Yeah, Rev goes like this. Kansas City's also turning the ball over. But here's the thing. Their defense got better. They're holding teams to 3-and-outs, which they couldn't do a year ago. Now they are. Now they are. I'm telling you, this game on Monday is going to come down to the rushing yards, not the passing yards. Okay? If Kansas City gets 130 on the ground, their number one, you want to hear something insane? Monday night, their number one priority is to get the run game going against them. Intermediate passes, short screens, maybe bubble screens. Maybe what they'll do also is they'll get the running backs involved in the short passing game. There's all kinds of ways to cover if you don't think you can run the ball against someone. Brady did it all the time. And this kid's cut from the same cloth as Brady. When you dissect this game, Kansas City, the last 2 games against you, they weren't trying to establish the pass. They were trying to establish the run, and they did. They outrushed you, and they outclipped you when it came to yards per carry. They're getting, hey, why in the world would I run? Why in the world would I throw the ball with Mahomes even? Every 2 plays, I'm getting 12 yards a carry. Why would I do that? Plus, it's low turnover plays. Why would I do that? Do I think they could do this to the Eagles this year? I think Andy's going to come up with a way of not, you can have a good running game without handing the ball off. Short screens. That kid Pacheco is probably going to get about 350 yards this year receiving and 1,000 yards. He's going to have about 1,300 yards from scrimmage. He's a pretty good versatile player. He's like Swift. If you look at Pacheco, he's a lot like Swift. That's how I think they want to establish him in this game, Monday night. Screens and shit like that, wheel routes, short passing game to get the linebackers back off. Again, Kelsey's going to kill. They want Kelsey in the second half to be the factor on them backers. Now, do they put Kevin Byard on Kelsey? I still think that's a mismatch. I still think that's a mismatch. Okay? Can you slow him down now? Okay? All right. So to me, again, running, can you believe that Kansas City is not a Andy dissected the fact that you were 22nd and 21. See, in 21, you were 22nd. Last year, you were 16th, 200 to 158. Reed's going to be looking to get 130 yards against you because he knows you improved on it. They're going to try to get 130 yards rushing. If they get 130 yards rushing, Mahomes will have to throw the ball more, which will give more opportunity for tip passes, maybe a pick, a turnover, fumble. I think this game's going to be close. And I think that the strategy in this game is going to be vital. You know, I think one of the most asinine questions, and I asked you guys this yesterday, and I don't think it's fair. Who's got the better coaching staff? Oh, Dan. Thank you, Captain Obvious. You know, great coaches get beat. This comes down to who has the best talent, not who has the best philosophy. Now, does it help? Absolutely. Second half of that game, fourth quarter, Andy Reid with the lesser team beat you. He completely beat you, and that's what coaching came down to. Personally, I think Kansas City wants this to be a fourth quarter game too. They don't want to get back and forth. They want a fourth quarter game. They want established runs because they think their guy can beat your guy in the fourth, like he did a year ago. Okay? You don't want. I mean, look at what Mahomes did. He was down 10 at half, came back and won. I'm not saying Jalen can't do that because you got AJ there and you got other weapons. Kansas City doesn't have that luxury. Kansas City can't let that game get out of hand. 10 points was probably the margin going into half that they probably wiped their brow off going, if it was 17, that thing could have been a mess because you'd have had to throw and abandon the run. Okay? Rev goes, coaching scares me. This is what I say to you, Rev. Andy Reid wants a 23-23 ball game in the fourth. If you're the Eagles, you want to be 27-20 in the fourth. I want to make Mahomes have to try to run the ball, burn clock, and I want him to burn timeouts, and I want him to try to go vertical. Because outside of Kelsey, and with your run defense, you could shut that thing down. You have an opportunity here. Okay? You know, that was one of my topics here. Who's got the better team? Look, what's the worst part of the Chiefs? Think about this for matchups. What is the worst part of the Chiefs? It's their receiver. It's their receivers. What's the worst part of the Eagles? It's their secondary. Isn't that kind of a wash? When you think? I mean, I look at Kansas City's wide receivers and go like this. Are they better than what the Eagles have in their secondary? If they are, not by margin, it's because the quarterback probably puts them in a better position to be successful, like he did Juju Smith-Schuster. So that gap is not as wide as you think. So when people like me even, if you don't analyze this thing and you don't really look at it and go like this, Mahomes is going to throw for 450. Really? With who? Travis Kelce, and they give me his cohort. They got wide receivers on that team named after strippers, Skylar something, Stormy Daniels. I mean, they really don't have anything out there. But is that good enough to move the sticks? What was the one thing? There were two factors. I think you look at the Washington game. If you're Kansas City, okay? You look at Washington, they have the D-line to get it done. Okay? And they have the receivers to get it done. They only needed, and they outrushed you in both games this year. Think of that. The Washington Commanders, not a team you want to write home about. Kind of still in it. Not horrible by any stretch. But I wouldn't call them a dominant run team. But they outrushed you. I wouldn't call Kansas City a dominant run team. But they've killed you in 2 games. If you notice, though, the run numbers have come down. Reed's going to have to counter that, which means more passing yards. He's going to need more passing yards Monday night to beat Philly because he's not going to get 158 yards, I don't think, against the Eagles' run defense. I do not believe that they're going to surrender one. I would be shocked if they get 158. It's over. Kansas City wins by 10. It's been the trend the last 2 games against you. Because what will happen? You'll abandon the run. Now, personally, for me, I don't think the Eagles are a dominant run team right now. And here's why. The one dominant player that you have that's the dominant run guy is Hurts. You guys keep trying to tell me, I think you're 4th in rushing. That's fool's gold. They were built up on 2 games, really. You haven't run the ball decently, in my opinion, last month and a half. It's been average. And no one would ever confuse Swift as a dominant running back or a power back. He's never been in his years in the NFL. It's clearly why Detroit moved off him. It's because they never played him and they pulled him out like the Eagles pull him out in the red zone. Okay? You guys keep telling me that the guy who's switching positions is going to be the most important run factor on Monday night in Juergens. So Juergens is going against Chris Jones. Good luck. Chris Jones killed Sayamalo. But Cam Juergens is going to block Chris Jones. Really? I want to see that. His first game back is against Chris Jones. And you guys think that the run game will improve when that guy shuts you down completely. A guy who's switching positions. It's absurd to think that. A first-year guy who's out of position is going to shut down the best run defensive tackle in the league. Okay. Cam Juergens destroys Chris Jones. Really? A guy who's a center. He'll have help. He'll need it. Because last year, he shut you down, Kelsey, Sayamalo, and Lane. You guys had 115 in the game. They had 158. Held you to 3.6 a carry. That's Chris Jones. And they're better. But you think moving a guy over is better than Isaac Sayamalo. It's not even a debate, and I won't. Because there's no reason to get upset with people who are making things up. You're going to put basically a rookie on Chris Jones, and you're going to tell me your run game is going to improve. The only way your run game improves is if Hurts is healthy for that Monday night game. To me, Jalen Hurts gets 55 yards. What did he have in the game in the Super Bowl? Wasn't he the leading rusher of any running back of both teams? Wasn't Hurts the leading rusher? Didn't he have more rushing yards than anybody on both sides of the ball between the Chiefs and the Eagles? So if he doesn't have that in that game, that's trouble too. What do you have, 70 yards? Eagles' best run attack was with Cam, right or wrong? I guess. Sure. It's Chris Jones, dude. How in the world do you think a guy playing out of position is going to block Chris Jones when he crushed you last year? 9 months ago in the Super Bowl, as a matter of fact. This is not more than a Monday night game. He crushed you in the Super Bowl. You know, you could have easily called him player of the game. Hurts had 70. Pacheco had 76. Okay, so Pacheco had the most rushing yards. Makes sense. They had 158. Eagles had. So let me get this right. Of the 115, Hurts had 70 of it. So outside of your quarter, think about that game now. Outside of that game, you got 40 yards rushing from your backs in that game. Totally why you lost the ball game. Is that Kansas City didn't have to do much in the passing game. When you don't have to do a lot in the passing game, there's not a chance in hell you're really going to have a lot of turnovers. You had 40 yards rushing from your backfield in Super Bowl 57. Really? That ain't good enough. That ain't good enough against Kansas City Chiefs Monday night. You get 40 yards rushing. Are you going to hand the ball 25 times? Are you going to run the ball 32 times Monday night? You think the Eagles run the ball 32 times Monday night? When's the last game I think the Cowboy game, didn't they run it 28 times? Okay. Isn't he? Steve goes, that game doesn't matter. It's 9 months ago. Same personnel, same coaches almost. Oh, wait. No, not you. Look at how people look at that and go, that game doesn't matter. Why wouldn't that game matter? They've done the same thing to you 2 straight games. Why wouldn't? This is, again, I'm glad people like Steve show incompetence and ignorance here because the Chiefs have done the same thing to you 2 games in a row. They haven't thrown the ball a lot. They've run the ball a lot. They've run the ball 60 times. 60 times. The Chiefs in 2 games against you. 60 times. I think the Eagles need to mirror the Cowboys' game plan. They ran it 33 times. They stuck with it. Hurts had 10 attempts. The running backs had 23 combined. Hurts also passed 23. Because they're looking for some type of balance there. New year, new coordinators, V? That scares me. Please. Again, don't bring up the coaching. You need to hang with the talent. Because if you start talking about coaching, you're going to start making yourself not feel comfortable about Monday night. There's nothing you have anywhere on your coaching staff except your O-line coach that's anything in the room of what Kansas City has. They've proven that to you the last 8 quarters. Haven't they? Or are you still in denial? Are you still in denial that you think you can outcoach that team? You're going to have to outplay that team. You may have the matchups, is what I'm trying to get to you, if they do this right. Okay? And the wide receiver coach. Yeah. Hey, do you really think you have to be a great wide receiver coach when you have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown? What are you telling them? Turn and catch? I'm just now, if you want to talk to me about the Alabama wide receiver coach who recruits all them guys like Judy and like all them guys, Calvin Ridley and, all them guys, Devontae Smith. And you want to talk to me about the Alabama wide receiver coach? I'm probably going to agree with you. But that's like when people always ask me about Phil Jackson. What do you think Phil Jackson fundamentally was teaching Michael Jordan? Turn and shoot? Hey, Mike, turn and shoot. Okay. I'm not sure, how much. I'm not saying Phil was the balancer of all the plates and he was the guy that was dealing with all the maniacs. Okay. Right? Wide receiver coach. Hey, the guy at Alabama's pretty good. All the guys he's got in the NFL, Amari Cooper, all them dudes. Crazy. How many wide receivers from Alabama are in the league right now? I think, 5 of them had 1,000 yards in the NFL last year? Well, that's that guy down there now. Is his name Ruggs? Is that it? That dude down in Alabama, man, he's got like 5 guys that had 1,000 yards. Amari Cooper had 1,000 yards. Devontae Smith had 1,000 yards. I mean, Phil Jackson was a puppet master. Henry Ruggs. Dude, that guy can recruit. Dude, I'd like to have that guy in the Eagles. Or if you're looking to build a team, whoever drafts that kid, Marvin Harrison Jr., I'd like to go, how much you want? He'd be like the Jeff Stoutland of wide receiver coaches. He knows talent. How would you like to have that guy on draft day, Henry Ruggs? When you're in the room next April and he's recruited every single wide receiver on the planet and he picked one guy or now, yes, no, yes, no. Didn't he do Jalen Waddle too? So wait a minute. Who wouldn't want that guy going, I'll take him? Especially if you have a franchise quarterback. Yeah, you need that guy because I recruited that guy. That guy decided to go to Ohio State, but he's a great player. I'd like to have that. All right. Here is this topic. Tell me what Monday night is to you. Chiefs and Eagles. What is Monday night to you? I'll tell you what it is to me in a second here. Rematch? Exciting? Respect game? A game more looking forward to than the 49ers? Maniac, of course, likes to eat just chicken broth and doesn't like to eat pasta fazool. He likes, it's a nothing game. So I can already tell you he doesn't like lobster bisque. Damn shame, Maniac. I thought you were more of a high-end guy. Now I know you're a commoner. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Nothing wrong with being that. He's a guy that has a bowl of soup and a hat on the soup kitchen line. It's okay, man. With a fish head in it. hey, Maniac. Give me Vazoo, huh? Hey, no. You're a guy with broth and a fish head. It's okay. There's guys with fish heads. There's nothing wrong with a fish head. I got it. I'm all right with this. Statement game. Maybe we can gain some respect with a win. You're never going to get the respect you deserve. Here's what this game is for me. Aunt Betty, excuse me. This is a motherfucking MVP game. This is an MVP game. You got one on Thursday night, too. You got people talking about Dak Prescott against the Panthers, trying to make a case for him. This ain't no making no case. This is Ali Frazier. This is Ali Frazier. This is the next installment of Manning and Brady. That's what this could be. Manning and Brady. Will you have these two incredibly gifted guys making statements for themselves? It's an MVP game. This is a Jalen Hurts respect game. This is a signature game. This is what this bitch means. That's what this is. Jalen Hurts, this is a respect game for him. Hey, you can say it all you want with 9 games in. He's the leading candidate for the MVP. That ain't going to win it. You lose to Mahomes, back of the bus. They're waiting for him to lose. Mahomes could lose this game and still be in it, right? Because the equity he's built up. Right? Jalen Hurts has no margin of error. This game is all about proving you can beat that's it. Beat them in Arrowhead. MVP belongs to Hurts. This is a game that, do you know, between Taylor Swift being there, and you guys may not think that's a big deal, but that's going to bring more eyeballs to that game. It's Monday night. It's probably going to be one of the. Do you guys remember that game between the Rams and the Chiefs? It was Goff and Mahomes. Do you remember how big that game was and how people were talking about that game? It was a shootout. And this is a rematch of the Super Bowl, too. Do you guys remember how huge that game was and how people were building that thing up? That thing was supposed to be played in Mexico, right? Then they played it in L.A. At the Coliseum, I think it was. Hurts has been playing his entire career with zero margin of error. He's built for this. Believe it. Oh, it's not that. No. Here. It's not that he's not that guy, what Tone just said. No one cares. This is a game they can't deny it. I agree. Thank you, Hawk. This is, I can't deny it. Shit. You ever have a guy that you don't want to give respect to? And you just look, Brady fought this early. It was Manning his entire early part of his career. How do you see about MVP? I need a win and a Super Bowl ring. I don't care. Devin, listen, of course, that's part of, but this is a sidebar part of that game. There's so many storylines. Of course, ring, win. It starts with those two. Ring, one, win. Absolutely. No one's denying that. But on a personal basis, don't you want your quarterback, for all the hard work, all the people pissing on him, the journey he's been on, don't you want people to validate him? Don't you want that? I'm not sure he does. But as a fan base, wouldn't you rather have people look at your quarterback than the way they look at McNabb or Wentz or Dak? Don't you want that? Tone's like, shit, I want more respect for Hurts. This is a validation game. And some of you are going to go, Silly's already validated. Really? You really think that? Do you really think the league, the players do? The players do. You really think the national, Sills, he's the betting favorite to win the MVP. They'll come up. He loses this game Monday, back at a bus. He loses 2 games in this 5-game stretch, not a chance in hell. Even if he gets home field advantage. You know, I brought a point up to somebody. How is Dak Prescott in an MVP conversation when he's not even going to win his division? I mean, don't you have to have like a metric somewhere where you cut that shit off? So somebody would have a conversation about Dak Prescott being in an MVP conversation, and he's not even going to win his division. Can I show you why? And this is my humble opinion. Can I show you why your boy doesn't get respect? You want to see it? Where is it? Here. I think this has a lot to do with how the public perception, excuse me, I'll take that back. The media perception always has Hurts in the co-pilot seat. Ready? Let's do this. And any particular order. This is not really a power list or anything. But I tried to come up with 10 quarterbacks in the NFC. Hurts, Goff, Dak, Brock Purdy, Sam Howell, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Derek Carr, Josh Dobbs, Baker Mayfield. What starting quarterback right now in the NFC would you put? Take one of them out. Do me a favor. Take one of those guys out and put someone else in. I'm more than glad to. Justin Fields, you would put in ahead of, okay, Justin Fields ahead of Baker Mayfield. Sure. Okay. All right. Justin Fields, sure, okay. I think Mayfield's better, though. No, I'm not going to do that. Mayfield's better. Who else did you put in there that's active right now playing in the NFC? Anyone, anybody? I don't believe Fields belongs in that. Maybe Fields over Dobbs because Dobbs only been there 2 games. I mean, right? Daniel Jones is not active. Hurts, Goff, Dak, Purdy, Howell, Murray, Geno Smith, Carr, who was fired from the AFC. Josh Dobbs is a substitute teacher. And Baker Mayfield. Those are your top 10 quarterbacks in the NFC? Whew. Wow. Is that a bums list? After Hurts, Goff, and Dak, it's a list of bums. It's a list of bums. Let's take a look at the AFC side. Not in any order. Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud. I wrote this list last night before I heard the news of Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson. Those are 10 quarterbacks I came up with in the AFC versus that shit list of NFC. Jalen doesn't get respect because of the company he keeps. And that's how the media looks at it. They look at the AFC with those quarterbacks. They don't see Jalen playing against the competition that those guys play against each and every single conference game. There's a legitimate superstar quarterback that you're going against. You're going against Josh Dobbs, or you're going against Brock Purdy or Sam Howell, or some of the other cast-offs, Danny DeVito. It's the company he keeps. Is it unfair? Completely. But when you have on Thursday night Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson, that's why Monday night, Mahomes and Jalen, that's what the media and people want to see. Let me put it to you this way. Okay? If you're calling Josh Allen trash, outside of Hurts, Goff, and Dak, the entire NFC is total trash. If Josh Allen played in the AFC or if Burrow played in the NFC, by the way, does Hurts fit over in the AFC? Yeah. Does Dak? I don't know. There's one quarterback that could play in the AFC, and he's in Philly. The rest of them, it's the company he keeps is why they don't respect him. Tell me I'm wrong. Geno Smith ain't making any quarterback lists in the AFC. Baker Mayfield ain't making any list for top quarterbacks in the AFC. Sam Howell ain't making a top 10 quarterback list in the AFC. That ain't happening. That's just not happening. Takes more than 1 or 2 years to get full respect. I'm sorry, but I disagree. It only took me 9 games to give CJ Stroud respect. That kid's a ball player. The question will be he be consistent? That's what we'll look at. By the way, I got something else to say about your boy Hurts. I hear everyone doing this on our channel, Philly, most predominantly in Philly. If you guys in all of our shows and all the radio stations that tune in, if all of you got to keep making a pitch that he's elite, he ain't. Nobody makes the pitch that Patrick Mahomes is elite because he is. If you got to keep making some pitch and keep telling me that he's elite, he's elite, he's elite, he's elite, he ain't. He ain't. You don't have to oversell me, kid. You either are or you aren't. When you're elite, you don't have to debate it. You don't have to have a conversation about it. You know it. Why don't you act like it? Most media people are making some sort of half-ass, half-cocked sales pitch that Hurts is elite. You're either elite or you're not. That's not a debatable conversation. The ones that debate that are still not sure he is inside themselves. You think Ali debated if he was the greatest of all time? He knew it. He told people it. I'm the greatest. He didn't say I was, I'm elite and I'm there. Ali was he was it. When you ever hear Tom Brady having people ever debate whether he was elite? Or Peyton Manning? Or all the great ones? Joe Montana? You either are or you aren't. I don't need some dude sitting in an afternoon show on a radio station using the word elite 29 times. I find that to be stupid. And then I start to think he's not. When you're Michael Jordan, there was no debate on elite. You either were or you weren't. You didn't debate Magic Johnson. Did you debate that Allen Iverson was one of the greatest players of all time ever in Philly? That's a great conversation here. Hang on. Because he got to he got to a finals. Hurts got to a championship. Did you guys ever debate if Allen Iverson was one of the greatest players of all time in NBA history? Did you ever debate that? Or did you just know it? You see, to me, when you watched Iverson do one crossover, you knew it. You knew it. Iverson had help. You mean that team that he carried all the way to the NBA Finals and won Game 2 in LA? You mean that team? Huh. I was in LA. I don't remember it that way. I don't remember it. Oh, man. I don't know how many times he does that shit to me. Tone does that shit to me all the time, man. Okay, did you guys really have that? I'm going to get to that in a minute here. Ugh. Did you ever debate Allen Iverson? All right. What Tone is doing right now, he's getting you prepared to give you an opportunity to win yourself some gift certificates from our good friends at Hooters and some merchandise. All you have to do is email us that fabulous code word that he threw out, dansileo@gmail.com, and you will get an opportunity to win yourself those gift certificates and merchandise. dansileo@gmail.com. We do it all the way to Friday. We give you an opportunity to win yourself that, and then you may hear your name called on a football Monday, like Leo and Andrew, who are this week's winners, and congratulations to those guys again. Also, too, don't forget it's Happy Wingsgiving from Hooters. You know, and during the month of November, they want to thank each and every single one of you with all the locations in the Northeast area from Rhode Island all the way down through Jersey, through King of Prussia, giving you an opportunity to see these specials that they're doing on a daily basis for you, like Ice Cold Coors Lights. You're going to love it. The light drafts are $2.99, 25 cents of each purchase goes to local charities. The 2024 Hooter calendars are out. They got $25 worth of coupons that are inside the calendars. You can get those at northeasthooters.com. Also, the lunch specials Monday through Friday from 11:30 to 3. Absolutely love the boneless. How about this? Happy hour Monday through Friday, 4 to 6, 6 items, $6. Try the fried pickles. Tuesdays, buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free. Wing Wednesdays, 1983. Again, northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. When you roll into any one of them, do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio, or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
We're here to show you a better way to spend your state income taxes and get the money to where it's needed to most to the thousands of qualified kids.
What we like about Blocks is they really know where the need is.
This program ensures that their dollars come 100% into these kids for their tuition assistance.
If you are able, Blocks makes the EITC piece go very quickly and very smoothly.
Turn your PA state tax liability into need-based scholarships and receive a 90% tax credit.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
I like to do my comparisons with some of the national people with my quarterback list. We'll do that here in a minute, but I just had a conversation a couple hours ago with Pete Prisco from CBS, and I said, what's the signature win that the Dallas Cowboys have had? And he's like, well, they really haven't had one. Well, I go, well, is the conversation just really for TV ratings then? Because when I look at their 6-3 record, they're the worst 6-3 team in the country. Are they not? Like when I look at the 49ers 6-3 record and I look at the Cowboys 6-3, why don't I care about the record being 6-3 with San Francisco? But I look at Dallas and I say this. What's their win? The LA teams and New York teams, think about what they did. The Cowboys beat the number 1 market and number 2 market, 2 teams in those cities. It's the only reason that people value that 6-3 record. Like, look at the signature wins San Francisco has. The Jags, the Cowboys, the Steelers. You can make a debate. Every one of those teams could make the playoffs. The Cowboys have actually the worst 6-3 team. Like, I would even make this point. There's probably better wins on the Texans scheduled than there are on the Cowboys. Let me know when the Cowboys have a signature win. Dude, I have never seen a team that is thought of as the Osbournes and the Kardashians more than the Dallas Cowboys. They are the worst 6-3 team in the NFL. There's no quality win on that. Like if they were in the BCS and you were trying to put a poll together and trying to come up with the best teams in the country, would they be in the top 16? Probably. What's their quality win? The Chargers? You know what the media will do? The media will make it seem that the Charger win for the Cowboys is a more significant win than what the Eagles did to the Dolphins and the way they slapped them around. Isn't it funny? When the Eagles had to be complete, they beat the piss out of the Dolphins, they turned around and made the plays they needed to make against the Cowboys. It's almost like they're not engaged sometimes because they're bored. I mean, I don't believe they play like that, but some of their better games have been against better teams where they had, hey, let me ask you this. Did they have any turnovers in that Miami game? And did they have any turnovers in the Cowboy game? Was there one in the Miami game? I mean, was there? In 8 quarters of play between the Dolphins and the Cowboys, how many turnovers were there? 1? Hurts had a pick set. Yeah, that's right. And then they came back and then they killed him. That's right. Dude, I'm got to tell you, I don't see it with the Dallas Cowboys. Get this. They spotted the greatest show on turf, 6 points, and still killed them. You think Dallas could do that? You think Dallas could sport a team 6 and win? I do not. I watched the Arizona Crumbirds beat the living. Hey, seriously, I watched the Arizona Peacocks kick the shit out of the Cowboys. Okay? I saw the Peacocks kick the shit out of them. Makes no sense, man. Dude, you need a signature win. You got to show me you can win these ball games. I mean, I don't get it. Have to have a signature win. That's all I'm saying here. You got to have a signature win. I want to go down a road here that I was debating on whether or not I was going to bring this up or not. And because what I don't want to do is I don't want to start any shit, and I don't want to start any impressions about a young player when I don't know all the facts and I'm pulling for the player. So I'm reading on one of the websites, and I saw it on Twitter, that Jalen Carter was involved in a shoplifting incident. And I saw this, and I just, whether it's true or not, it's not the point. Whether he handled himself correctly, it's not the point. That city is looking to set you up. You've got to do it better than everyone else. They're waiting for you. Your initial press conference, they gave you a loaded question about you not feeling enough contrite people who died. Whether you were right, this is not about right and wrong. This is about people looking to bring you down. The devil doesn't come after you when you're down. He comes after you when things are going great for you. And that's what he's got to know. I'm glad to see he's got people around him, because people ask him the question, get this. So you asked Jalen Carter at a children's charity event if he was involved in a shoplifting event. What does that tell you? They don't give a shit where you are. You could be feeding the poor. You could be helping an old lady cross the street. They're going to look to bring you down no matter where you are. Shit, you could have a Santa Claus outfit on. Hey, did you and your girlfriend get involved in a shoplifting incident where cops were called? No charges were. It's not the point. It's public perception. Okay? It's not fake news. It's not fake news. I think those guys at Crossing Broad do a nice job. They talk to a cop. Okay? No, you see, Rome doesn't get where we're coming from. You're boring me now? Well, you're ignorant. I'm trying to help the kid. Don't hide from stuff like that. Protect him. It's not, I'm not I want the best for him. Stupidity on how people don't like to hear the truth. Okay? When there's stories out there like this, and you don't want to bring them up because you're such a flag-waving Eagle fan, that's on you, not here. Hey, if you want to hear boring, why don't you go listen to some of them radio stations and listen to those flag-waving shows? That's boring. Callie Green goes, we don't know the full story. I don't want to know the full story. I want them to make sure that he keeps his nose out of any kind of situation that could bring him down. This is not anything to do with right or wrong. How come no charge? That's not the point. That's not the point. Man, I feel for you people. Some of you. I really do. Nobody's throwing shade at him here. Okay? Look at it. Sil, shut up. That's exactly what they probably told him in Georgia. Hey, don't say anything. Guys, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. And my point is, I am pulling for him. Okay? I want nothing but the best. This is more about the assholes around your market that want to ask him or bring him down. It's not about the kid. Could it be do I believe it's a misunderstanding? Yeah. That doesn't matter. Remember something. Truth doesn't matter in cases like that. You could have the entire truth on your side, but someone will spin it a different way. Well, he's involved in this. No, he's not. Yes, he is. Cops were called. People were questioned. They moved on. He's guilty. Why? Social media. Years ago, that's not an issue. Again, margin of error. Margin of error. All right, let's bring my friend Tone in for the segment.
Big Sales, how we doing, sir?
Oh, good, my friend. And I heard what you said earlier about the game on Monday night.
Running game will be the end-all, be-all.
Look at this here. 21 and that 42-30 win. Kansas City ran the ball 32 times for 200 yards and 6.3 clip.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles got behind, abandoned the run, ran it 19 times for 103 yards, with the so-called best O-line. I wouldn't look at that 2021 Kansas City O-line and say they're chopped liver, but I wouldn't put them in the conversation of the Eagles for that 21 season. 9 months ago, KC runs the ball 26 times for 158 at 6-1. The most significant number, Tone, is that they hung still around that 6 yards a carry. Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to have a lot of passing yards or even attempts when you're getting 12 yards every 2 plays. This is the coaching here. And again, if you notice, it went down 42 yards. Why? Well, they went from 22 in rush defense to 16th last year. To me, I believe there's going to be more passing yards and passing attempts. But I think that the Eagles, for them to win this game, they've got to hold Kansas City under 130 yards for them to win this ball game.
I agree 100%. You know, it's so funny. Along with those rushing numbers, right? Another stat category that stands out from that matchup or from those matchups are red zone efficiency. In the Super Bowl, when the Eagles lost 38-35, the Chiefs were 4 for 5 in the red zone. The Eagles were 3 for 5. So they were more efficient in the red zone and took advantage of their opportunities more so than the Eagles did. In the Chiefs matchup, in the 2021 matchup where the Eagles lost 30-42, the Chiefs were 5 for 5 in the red zone. The Eagles were 3 for 6. So they outgained you from a rushing perspective, and they were more opportunistic and more efficient in the red zone. That's the nuance of this matchup on Monday. You got to score when you're in the red zone. Field goals don't beat Kansas City, and you have to limit them and hold them to under 100 yards rushing. The Philadelphia Eagles have a propensity to hold teams under 100 yards rushing. I do believe Andy Reid is going to try to get it going, though, regardless, because he's that kind of coach. He's going to try to test your gangster. He's going to find out if you really are about what he's going to find out if you really are about what the numbers say you're about. So I've been talking about it all week, but I haven't heard anybody else bring it up. The fact of the matter is the common denominator in those two matchups are the Eagles were outgained on the ground, and they were not able to get their running game going, or they rather just didn't stick with it. No one's been talking about that.
That's the out-coaching part of it.
Exactly.
Because outside of Hurts, and this is where I think this becomes a factor on Monday, his injury, you rushed the ball for 45 times. If he's not going to run the ball, you had 45 rushing yards in the Super Bowl 9 months ago. Okay, 45 yards. And do I think Cam Jurgens is going to make a difference? Probably a little, but you're going against Chris Jones. You're not going against Bob Jones. You're going against a guy who dominated the Super Bowl. You could have made an argument that he was the third best player on the field on the Chiefs side. I mean, it's great. You're going to get an upgrade in talent. Sure. He's not Isaac Seumalo, and he killed him. How much does Hurts have to be a factor in? See, I think he's got to be more of a factor in the run game on Monday night.
I agree. I need a similar output from the Dallas Cowboys matchup. I brought that up before. When you think about the way that game went, the Eagles ran the ball 33 times, 23 times with the running backs, 10 times with the quarterback, and excuse me, Jalen Hurts, he had 10 carries, 36 attempts, average just under 4 yards a carry and a touchdown. See, here's the thing. It's not even necessarily he has to be explosive. They need the threat of him running still needs to be there. The threat. They need to understand that he's still a threat. And if you notice in that third quarter, the first play of the game in the third quarter, after Jalen Hurts tweaked his knee, first play, they did a read option and ran Jalen Hurts to his right. So they wanted to prove that, he's still going to be Jalen Hurts. I respect that by the coaches. You took a risk a little bit putting him in harm's way, but I respect it because you wanted to keep those linebackers, keep those edge rushers honest. I think that's the similar game plan the Philadelphia Eagles need to deploy against the Kansas City Chiefs. Be balanced. Don't get caught up in the rah-rah and try to outscore them and outgun them. That Cowboys game, they didn't allow ego to drive that game. They wanted to win the game. And I think that's the similar mindset, the similar philosophy they need to deploy going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Don't get caught up in the numbers and trying to make your quarterback look a certain way. Win the game, be physical at the line of scrimmage, get your running game involved, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, and run defense has to step up big time. This is a big week for them.
I think they bail on the run game too much.
I agree.
And I think they bail on it, especially in these big ball games.
I agree.
I think they bailed on it in the Super Bowl. And by the way, if Jalen Hurts doesn't have that 70 yards in that ball game, and if he doesn't have that 70 yards, I'm not saying he has to have 70 Monday night. I'm just saying
it had the threat of it has to exist.
Exactly. And what they did was you can't allow Kansas City, like every team that you've played this year, to keep it in third and short and win first down. The one thing, there's two factors in Monday night. You allow every team in the league to beat you on first down. You're the worst in the league at it. Now, one of the things is your saving grace. You're only 7th in points allowed. But remember something. I think Kansas City's like 16th. However, they only give up 21-5. So the difference of a 1.5, they're not going to give a lot of points up too, Tone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You can't allow Kansas City to get going in the red zone, and you cannot allow Kansas City to win first down because they're going to put you in a fourth quarter game. And I fear this in a fourth quarter game. That's what they did in the Super Bowl to you. They wanted to get you into the fourth quarter because they believe they can outplay you, out-scheme you, and out-coach you.
Yeah, I was talking to Rob about this earlier. I was telling him that I think the Eagles need to find a way. They need to find a way to force Patrick Mahomes to throw that ball 40-plus times. They need to put him in a position where he has to throw the ball down the field. Travis Kelce cannot be an option for him. He's going to try to give him the ball because that's his main target. But I'm doing everything I can to make sure he has to look everywhere else but Travis Kelce's direction. Travis Kelce's not going to be a factor in this game. And I'm not saying that definitively. I'm saying that's what they need to do. Sky Moore beat me. Kadarius Toney try to beat me. Justin Ross try to beat exactly my point.
Who are these guys?
Rashid Rice try to beat me. All these guys who barely are going to be in the league maybe in the next 5 years. My point is, I'm not letting Travis Kelce get off. See, and this is why I'm actually glad. We talk about this all the time. Would we rather have an impenetrable run defense and a mediocre pass defense, or an impenetrable pass defense and a mediocre run defense?
I'm biased in one way, you know this, but you know what the right answer is too.
Exactly. Me and you always choose having the impenetrable run defense, because at the end of the day, if you can stop the run, you can work around everything else. But if you can't stop the run, you're going to get your ass beat up and down the field, and you're never going to see the ball.
That's what Washington did in 2 games. They
Exactly.
were able to stop the Eagle run offense, and they were able to keep themselves in it. It wasn't the fact that Jalen was throwing the ball around the yard. And again, this goes to matchups. Think about this too, Tone. The Eagles may have one of the worst pass defenses, but at the end of the day, when I look at the wide receiving core of a bunch of stripper names, I mean, is that enough of a differential for me to sit here and go that I think Skyler Moore or Stormy Daniels is going to catch passes and beat the secondary back there? Is that enough of a separation? That's why it's going to come down to this run game. And I don't know if it's about the yards, Tone. I think it's about the yards per carry. Because
yes,
for me,
yes,
you were 3-6 in the Super Bowl. They were 6-1. The threat of you running after you dropped the ball on the carpet, then there was the scoop and score. They completely in the second half started abandoning it. They just completely abandoned it. And they kept coming back because they were getting 6 yards a clip. Then in the fourth quarter, they were running those crossing routes on you. They put you on your heels, and you couldn't stop the train.
Yeah.
That's how they outcoached you, but they kept with patience in this ball game.
Yeah, and I think that's how the Eagles beat the Cowboys. They were patient. They didn't panic at any point in that game.
2 games in a row.
Except for that fourth quarter, they got a little antsy. They got a little antsy in that fourth quarter, but I think they'll learn from that. But yes, 2 games in a row, they were patient, right? And, you know, they can't allow – see, this is a game where you got to keep your emotions in check, because they're going to be rising that flag when you get there. You lost to that team in the Super Bowl by 3 points. You have to maintain your composure in this matchup. And, you know, you brought up Jalen Hurts earlier, that this is a statement game for him. I agree 100%. This has to be a statement game for him. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to not only –
it's an MVP game.
Yeah, you have not only an opportunity to beat Patrick Mahomes, but you have an opportunity to beat them in their home field on Monday night with the world watching. Those things matter in the grand scheme of things when you're trying to win an MVP, when you're trying to change the perception of how people see your career. Now, I doubt Jalen Hurts cares but so much about those kind of things, but we do, because we're the ones who are the architects of the narratives out here, right? We're the ones who talk about it on a day-to-day basis. This is a huge game for Jalen Hurts, whether he wants to talk about it or not. The reality is Jalen Hurts has to win this game. The Philadelphia Eagles have to win this game if they can so they can prove to themselves that they can beat this team, because I believe they're going to see them again on Super Bowl Sunday.
How about this, Tone? And this is just conversation here.
Of course.
If he loses that game and Lamar wins that game against Burrow Thursday night, and he wins that division, he's going to win his second MVP. Because the perception is that Burrow's the second best quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of Philly, people look at Burrow because he's been to 2 straight conference title games. He's been to a Super Bowl himself. They look at the way he throws the ball. They look at how he changed the culture around in shit Cincinnati. Okay? And they look at, by the way, I want to bring this up with you now, and it's going to go into what I talked about earlier. I think this is what he fights. NFC. Hurts. Okay. Could Hurts play in the AFC? Absolutely. Golf. Okay. He's kind of building his career back. Dak, Mr. Inconsistent. You know, if I was going to name something and give him a moniker, Dak Prescott, Mr. Inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy, Mr. Nobody. Coming and trying to make a name. He's Mr. Nobody. Sam Howell, I guess. Kyler Murray, okay, he needs study hall habits. Geno Smith, here's a guy who got beat up in his own locker room. Derek Carr fired from the AFC. Josh Dobbs, you got a substitute teacher? I guess he's in the playoff.
Mr. Rocket
By the way, I
Scientist.
love the story. This is what I'm saying. Then you got Baker Mayfield's the 10th best quarterback in the NFC.
Right.
And over on the AFC side, Mahomes, Jackson, Burrow, Allen, Herbert, Tua, Lawrence, Stroud now.
And what's the common
Deshaun,
denominator? What's the
Wilson.
common denominator?
All first round
All
picks.
first round talents in that AFC. In the NFC side, a bunch of underachievers. A bunch of overachievers.
Overachievers.
A bunch of overachievers, excuse me. So
including Hurts.
Including Hurts.
And
Hurts.
Dak.
People can pretend like they just knew he was going to be this magic man in the league. But the reality is, I think that's disrespectful to just say you just knew, because it discounts the work he put in each and every season.
Nobody knew. Eagles didn't
Exactly.
know.
Nobody knew. Just like when people talk like that about Jalen Hurts, I take it as disrespect towards him, because it's almost like you're dismissing the amount of work he's been putting in every single year in the offseason, in the season. It discounts the work ethic that he has when you're just saying, oh, we all knew he just had all he needed was an opportunity. No, he needed not only opportunity, but he needed preparation. That's what he needed. And that's what we're seeing now. Jalen Hurts today on November 15th is a culmination of opportunity and preparation. So again, he has another opportunity this coming Monday to beat Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead. Will he seize this opportunity? I think he will. Now, like we talked about,
better not lose.
There are so many things that have to happen, though. But not so many, but there are very specific things that have to happen. The Eagles defense, they had to force the Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs to become one-dimensional. One-dimensional. Make their run game completely obsolete. Make them give up on it in the first half. Then, Philadelphia Eagles offense, don't turn the ball over. Also, take advantage of your red zone opportunities. When you get there, score a touchdown. Keep the pressure on them. Sustain drives. Get your run game going somehow, some way. Even if you're averaging just 4 yards a carry, the threat of it, the notion that you're going to keep doing it is going to keep the Kansas City Chiefs defense on their heels, or off balance, rather. Those are the things that have to happen. If the defense allows Kansas City to run for more than 100 yards, I know you said 130. I'm saying just 100. If
Washington.
Yeah, if they allow them to rush for over 100 yards and allow it to stay a part of their game plan, we're going to have a long day. And this is going to come down to a game-winning drive by one of those quarterbacks.
Brian said that Nicole Lynn is taking resumes for bodyguard for Jalen Hurts if you're interested.
Well, it's so funny you say that, because when I was working the Maxwell Awards, I'm sitting there vibing. You know, we had to escort him from point A to point B. You know, I was just in all black, looking like Big Dom. You know what I mean? And my man Jay Hurts was like, "Hey, you know where the bathroom is?" I said, "Yeah, I got you. I'll take you." So me and him just walking to the bathroom, just chopping it up. No lie. I would never lie to you guys. You know what I'm saying? He went to the bathroom. I stood in front of that bathroom. Somebody had to walk in. I said,
"Oh, look at that! Like Suge Knight."
My man walked out. He said, "Hey, tell them no photos. No photos." We made it back in time for the Burt Bell Award. Hey, listen, you heard what he said. He didn't walk through the fire just to smell the smoke. You know how we get down here, man. I protect mine, okay? I protect mine. True story. True story.
Did you get him to sign something for you?
The book coming out in 2025.
Hold on. Did you get something signed by him?
Bro, I had nothing on me. I was working. I had nothing on me.
Oh, you should at least got a selfie with him, man.
I did.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh, shit. I got you right. Oh, my bad, Sills. I got you right.
Dude,
here.
I've never seen it. You got to show me the selfie.
You never seen it? Oh, man, Sills, how did I do you dirty like that?
Yeah, no way, man. I want to see this thing.
Oh,
here.
yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Ain't about nothing.
That's really good, man. That's good that he did that for you, man.
Oh, no, he was thorough, man.
Hey, by the way, you know what sucks? I know you think I hate the kid. I voted for him for the Burt.
No, I don't think you hate him. I just think you're
antagonizer.
You're the equivalent of a hot poker. You know what I mean? That's you
I'm
right
a
there.
I'm a cattle prod.
You're a cattle prod. That's exactly what it is.
Hang on, Toad's calling me a cattle prod.
Hey, look at this, Big Sills.
Hey, man, listen, I voted for his ass.
I would never lie to you.
Hey, as you see, I'm a voter on that Maxwell stuff. I vote on the pros in college. I even vote on the Bednarik.
Hold on, let me turn this which one call it off because it's gonna block it out.
Okay.
Give me 1 sec. I would never lie to you, Big Sills.
Sills is the devil's advocate.
I would never lie to you.
Are you kidding me? Oh, that's dope, man.
I would never lie to you, dog.
Holy
listen,
cow!
man.
Look at Tone there, man.
It goes on. That's BG. Hold on, let me make sure I got the lights right.
Oh, those are great pictures.
BG,
I love that.
I would never lie to you.
Oh man, that's really good.
Hurts Sirianni.
Look
Come
at
on,
Tone
man.
over there. You got Sirianni. Look, he's got 2 Italians in there and Tone.
Hey, listen. Big Dom in the building. You know what I mean?
That's you, man.
Listen, I'm around. I move around a little bit. That's all.
Hey, I like that, man. Hey, that's right.
That's why I go hard for my guys, man.
Tone, man. Small doors lead to big rooms.
Hey, man.
Always remember that.
I hold it down, baby. I hold it down. I'll leave it at that. I'll hold it down.
I like it, man. Okay, so let's do this because you know this, man. On Monday, if Mahomes loses, he's still going to be in the MVP race because the equity's built up. You understand that if Jalen loses this ball game, he's to the back of the bus here.
Man, Sills, don't get me on.
Holy shit, now he's toweling off. Hey, are you back to being miserable now? Because, like I said when I opened the show. Oh, and by the way, I'm so sick of you Eagle fans because you know why? You guys are
what's up? What's up?
You guys are so spoiled. How would you like to be Chicago? You've had 3 teams in 61 years.
Okay.
The 63 title team, the 85 Bears, and the 07 team that went to the Super Bowl. The rest of it has been garbage. And here you are going, oh, man, we won 22 of 26. Shit. Man, I got to get that chip, man. I mean, it's almost like the worst thing ever happened to you is that you won that 17 Super Bowl because now you've become greedy.
What'd I tell you, Sills? They should have never let us get one. Listen, the day after, you know what I was saying? I said, I'm ready for the next one. I'm ready for the next one, baby. Listen, here, this is how I'm looking at it, man. I look at this Philadelphia Eagles team, regardless of even when Jalen Hurts was here or not. My expectation has always been high for this team because I just always, listen, I may be a psycho for saying this, but I always feel like we're a team of destiny. Always. Because we're the most hated, we're the most overlooked, and time again, we defy the odds, no matter how it looks. And I'm looking at this team this year. I understand things aren't necessarily the smoothest, but it's the NFL season. It's supposed to be a bumpy ride. What's a journey worth taking if you didn't really enjoy the roses and the trees on the way over? So I'm looking at this Philadelphia Eagles team as a team of destiny, a team that's looking for redemption.
Holy shit, he's quoting Lincoln now.
A team that's looking for redemption. You know what I mean?
You're quoting Lincoln now.
4 score ago.
Knowing due north. What's
4
the sense
score.
of knowing due north if you don't know where the swamps are and how to maneuver through the swamps? That's a Lincoln quote.
Hey, man. History is an important thing. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So the Eagles know their history. They know how they lost that game. They know why they lost that game. They'll redeem themselves on Monday, and they'll redeem themselves even further in the Super Bowl.
Look at this, man. Holy cow. Waving is out in force.
Are
you more concerned with Reed or Spagnuolo on Monday?
Reed, because the Eagles defense is still something I'm concerned about. They had to show me that
but
they
there's
can
more
handle.
talent on defense this year.
I understand that, but the Eagles' offense is talented as well. So it's gonna be good on good. Whereas though, Andy Reid is one of the greatest minds in football. And then you throw in Patrick Mahomes on that side. I have to be concerned with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
Hey, Tone, that's one of the dumbest things that I could throw at anybody. And of course, they bite on it like guppies. When you do this, who's got a better coaching staff? Obvious. I mean,
that's not even the conversation.
You could do that to 32 teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. That's no shade. The question comes down, who's got the better team? Who do you think has the better roster right now?
It's going to come. It's going to come down to whose talent can shine through the best.
Matchups.
Exactly. And here's the thing about the NFL, man. This is what I love about it, right? It don't matter what your record is. How well do you match up with the people opposite of you? You dig what I'm saying? Like, there are so many situations where teams are supposed to be better, but somehow, some way, the matches aren't in their favor that day. So, again, I think the Philadelphia Eagles, even though the Chiefs defense is playing very well, I think at the skill positions, the Eagles got the edge at the matchups. They don't have a corner that can match up with A.J. Brown. They do not. Trent McDuffie's playing well, but he's too small. He doesn't have the physicality to mess with a guy like A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith, he's going to cook the other guy on the other side. I forget his name. So I look at it like this, man. They dropped 100 on them a piece last time. They can do it again. They don't match up well with those guys. They just don't match up well.
They don't spread the ball around like they did in that Super Bowl, though. Right now, they're not spreading the ball. How many games this year have they had two guys with 100 yards? One?
Oh, in one game? Well, I don't know.
One or two?
That's a good question. I probably not even one. I mean, I know
Devontae. I thought I saw one game. Was it the Rams game? They had both 100.
That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. Let me check. Let me see if it was a Rams game. I don't think it was though.
I thought they.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay, you're right. So, AJ had 127. Goddard had 117.
Oh no, I'm talking AJ and Devontae.
Okay, well, in that case, no. The closest they came to that was in that Washington game where Devontae had 99 yards and AJ had 130. So that was the closest they came to that. But
so they haven't had a game where they except the Super Bowl they had 100.
Smitty had 100. Smitty had 100. AJ had like 96 or something like that.
Yeah, but Tone, they're not doing that this year.
I look at it like this, man.
Okay.
The production is the production, right? In that Washington game, 130 plus 99 is what? Over 200 yards between them. So, hey, listen, man.
We're doing it collectively. Okay.
Hey, listen, man. Production is production. Who cares where it comes from?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Man, you make them numbers look good, man.
Got to, baby. Got to.
Hey, Sills, this guy had 192 yards receiving. This other guy had 8. Is that not 200 yards? Yes, it is.
hey, listen. If AJ had 199 and somebody had 1 yard, that's 200 yards, ain't it?
Who do you think this bye week benefited more? Do you think it benefited the Chiefs or benefited the Eagles? Remember something before you answer. One may had to do with health. The other had to do with game planning.
That's exactly what I was about to say to you. I was literally about to say, I think it benefited them both for very different reasons. But for the Eagles side, the health. For them, it was all about health. But also, I think that coaching staff needed to take a step back and revisit what they've done and revisit where they've been so they can know where they're going. So I definitely think the Eagles definitely benefited big time because of the health. But last time we gave Andy Reid 2 weeks to prepare for us, we know how that happened. So
the guy was out of house hunting.
Exactly. So we have to now. The difference is, I don't think Short Desai is house hunting right now.
I do not either.
so that's the one good thing about it. Steichen doesn't get talked about that much, but he was probably on some phone calls too.
You know what? I'm wrong about him, man, because you know what? His influence is about as much as Eric Bieniemy's in Kansas City, maybe more even. You know what I'm saying?
It's a strong possibility. Both of those guys, respectively, had a strong hand in both of their quarterbacks' development. Eric Bieniemy's been there from the beginning with Mahomes, and Steichen, same thing with Hurts. So what we're seeing now, especially between both of those guys, we're seeing their evolution without those two brains in the building, respectively. This is going to be a hell of a game, Sills. This is going to be a hell of a game.
High scoring or low scoring?
I think the scorecard is going to look similar to the Cowboys scorecard.
Over 60?
No. Just under 60. Like I think the score. I don't have a score prediction locked in just yet. But if I had to give you one right now, and it's probably going to change on Friday. But if I had to give you one right now, I would probably say Eagles like 27. Chiefs
27-24,
24, 23, something like that. That's or Eagles 26, Chiefs 23. Like it's going to be in the range of a 30-point winner to a 23-point loser. You follow me? It's going to be in between there.
Let me put something in your ear here too that I don't think a lot of folks have thrown out this week that I think is important. I think you had shit special teams in that game.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think with the improvement of field position, because this is going to be a field position game, Tony.
That's a big point. We haven't talked about the special teams in regards to this game at all.
With the improvement of the special teams and field position and starting position for the offense, I think when Michael Clay, and like I told you this, if there was an award for the most improved coach on the Eagle staff, it's him and his unit. To me, I don't think you're going to – there were special team moments in that game that were critical, especially in the second half and in the fourth quarter, that hurt them in field position, the punt, all that stuff, not starting in the proper long drives. I think that's improved, and that's going to close that gap even a little more on the margin of error in this game for both teams.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I don't think neither of these quarterbacks, neither of these teams have been playing with the greatest margin of error. If we look back at what the Chiefs have done over the past several weeks or over the past 9 games, so to speak, for them, I mean, they've kind of been on the same pace as the Philadelphia Eagles, right? In terms of just how they've been beating teams. The only difference is the Chiefs get a little bit more respect for it because they're the Kansas City Chiefs and they're the reigning champions. So people are going to always be more patient with that. But when you think about the Chiefs over the past several weeks, I mean, they lost to the Lions 21-20, beat the Jags 17-9. They smacked the Bears, obviously, 41-10. But then they beat the Jets 23-20, Vikings 27-20, Broncos 19-8. They dominated the Chargers 31-17. Lost to the Broncos 24-9, beat the Dolphins 21-14, but it took forever for the offense to get going. They don't really have like, I mean, they got some games on there that you say, okay, but it was the Bears. I can't really put too much stock into that, right? But then same thing with the Eagles. You have some games, okay, 25-20, Eagles beat Patriots, 34-28, you beat the Vikings, 25-11, you beat the Bucks, 34-31, Commanders, 23-14 Rams. You lose to the Jets, obviously, 20-14. Dolphins 31-17. Commanders 38-31.
I'm going to do you a favor here in a minute.
So it's like both these teams have kind of just been feeling their way around the first 9 games. I don't think neither of those teams are really playing their best football.
I'm going to do something for you guys. Okay? I'm going to do something for Eagle
Here we go, you guys. Buckle up, you guys. This is going to be a bumpy ride.
No. I doubt you think it will be.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna do something for you. You think Taylor Swift's gonna be there on Monday night?
I'm willing to bet this. If she is, they lose. Because listen, we all know what happens when when your lady shows up at work. You might come off your lunch break with some weak legs. You know what I mean? Get the fuck out.
I'm gonna text him.
All right, Sly. All right, Rocker.
I want him to put a video together for the Eagles, and we're gonna post it on JAKIB.
Oh my God! If he does that, I'll lose my mind.
I don't, because The Rock doesn't really have anything tied into Philly, right?
Right, but Rocky,
Sly does.
If Sly does that, I'll lose my mind. I'll lose my mind if Sly does that.
Let's see if he texts me back. I'm gonna get a video. I'm gonna do my best to try to get a video from Sylvester Stallone, a motivational video for Monday. We're gonna put the music behind it, and we're gonna put dun 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 dun.
You pull that off.
Hey. Hey, Sills, you pull that off. It's free cannolis for a month.
Oh my goodness, man! Listen.
Hey, I know everyone.
So let me ask you this really quickly, right? I'm thinking about just how competitive the MVP race has been thus far, right? And there's no one who's necessarily clear cut. I think it's going to come down to.
I think it's 3 dudes.
What you said earlier. I think it's going to come down to either Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson.
It is. And Mahomes, dude.
Mahomes is like he's like a write-in. He's
He's
default. Yeah. You could have gave LeBron or Jordan the MVP every year, but you don't.
The year Malone won it. The year that Malone won it, it just, you know what? It was the best thing ever happened to the Bulls because it gave Jordan more of a pissed off attitude when he played him twice in the finals, back to back. He was like, "Hey, you think that?" And Malone was awesome. He was an awesome player.
No, man,
However, you're going against that guy. It's just not going to work. But like you said, for the amount of MVP, get this, the most disrespected NBA guy, and I'm not the biggest fan, but I am in a way. LeBron James, how many MVPs does he have? 4? He should have 8. I mean,
writers get bored, so they need a curveball.
You know what? Too, how does Manning have more MVPs, and how does Rodgers have more MVPs than Tom Brady?
Well, you said it best. Tom Brady and Belichick, they were never the media darlings.
That's why, though, that Nick Sirianni's not going to win Coach of the Year ever.
I'm cool with that. I'm totally okay with that.
Why you think that award's jinxed anyway, right?
That award is jinxed like a mug. That award is cursed. Anyone who's won it, check their following season out.
Let me say that what was the worst thing that the Eagles did in that Super Bowl 57 that you hope they correct?
It falls on coaching when I say this. They lost sight of the instincts of the game. They lost sight of the feel for the game. They panicked. And I'm going to compare it to something. In Super Bowl 52, Doug Peterson, if you pay attention to that game, that game was not about defense at all. That game was all about offense. And it got to a point in the game where Peterson realized, I can't afford to put my defense back on the field. I'm down by 1 point or we're up by 3, whatever it was. I'm not putting my defense back on the field. They can't.
That's not an analytics game.
That's not an analytics game. He said, he said, I can't put my defense back on the field.
I don't think Super Bowl 57 was an analytics game either. I think it was a gut
That's my
game.
point. And that's my point. That's what was missing from the Eagles side of the ball. They missed those moments. I tell this story all the time because I witnessed it with my own eyes. Maxwell Awards, they're showing a montage of the Philadelphia Eagles, talking about their stats and how good they were at making it to the Super Bowl. They were the best team on 4th down. They went forward on X amount of times in the Super Bowl. They converted this amount. I'm standing next to Jalen Hurts, and he walks over to Nick Sirianni and taps him on the shoulder, and he says these exact words to him. I told you we should have went for it. I told you. So my point is, Nick lost his edge in that 4th quarter. He lost his edge. He lost his guts and glory. He got
lose his edge, or was he just not experienced enough in those situations to understand that? He learned from that because, again, Tone.
But Doug never was there either. Doug never had that experience either, but he felt it.
Doug had it as a player, though.
That's fair. That's.
I think there's something to those moments, Tone, when you're a coach and you're a coach that was a former player that played professional football. I think you got more instincts than you do when it comes to having those ability not to be able to lean on analytics.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Doug acted. Get this, that moment when Foles comes over and says that to him, that was a player to player.
Peterson's looking at the play sheet. Foles walks over. Hey, Philly.
But didn't you feel it was player? Listen,
he looked at him, and all he could say was, "Yeah, let's do it." Yeah, they were here that night
because he went with this. You have confidence to call that play.
I got confidence.
I believe you have confidence to run that play.
Simple as that. Nick lost that edge. He lost that. He all year long he was aggressive on 4th down.
Now he does.
That's true. And
you learn from that shit too.
You have to learn from that. You have to.
You remember Belichick going for it on 4th down in Indianapolis against Peyton Manning, and they didn't get it. And everyone criticized them for going for it on 4th and 2, I think it was. They didn't get it. And Bill was criticized for it, but I liked it because to me, it shows that a coach is not going to have people in his ear going, Bill, It's second down. We're on our plus 35. That's not something that Bill didn't do that. And I think one of the reasons that Bill, who was not a former player, well, he was a college player, but I'm talking professional player, he kind of went with the gut of the game and the feel of the game. You see, like I told you before, Tone, there's coordinators that want to put a shitload of points up and a lot of yards up.
And there's some guys that just want to
win games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And to me, Brian Johnson, to me, at the beginning of the season, looks like he's trying to put a lot of yards up and a lot of points up. Okay, now I think he's starting to come into trying. Here, this is going to sound nutty. That 3rd and 3 that he called in the 4th, you know what, Tone? Maybe that's the best thing ever happened to him. Because you know why? That could not have been an analytical play. That had to be a feel for the game and a gut call by him to do that, which means that was a human element to that call, that he thought he could have put that team away and had confidence in Hurts. So when you're in your team meeting the next day and the kid and everyone is criticizing you for going for it on 3rd and 3 and throwing the ball down the field, you know what you say? I had confidence you would complete it.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, if I'm a player and I hear that, we learned to live another day. We lived that game. We got through it. We won. Doesn't that – you can also look at it like that too, Tone, that wasn't an analytical moment. That was a coaching moment that he felt that his players could complete that passing, that play to put the Cowboys away. You know,
exactly.
I want to look at the glass half full and go, it's a shitty – I agree. It's a shitty call moment of the game. It's not the smartest – I would never have done that either. Quarterback should have called the timeout. But then again, get this. That's the shit you're talking about trust, isn't it?
Yeah. You know,
trust doesn't always mean it's successful.
Exactly. You know, just because, trust doesn't always get you the girl at the end. You know what I mean? Trust doesn't always get you exactly what you want, but you can live with it because I know I trust this person. And trust shouldn't be lost because you didn't always get the results you wanted. Always trust that person. Nick Sirianni is so funny. Now in this season, you've seen Nick Sirianni go for it on 4th and 5s, 4th and 3s regularly. You know, in that Miami game, they went for it on 4th and 5 or something like that, and in enemy territory. And Jalen Hurts breaks a tackle, rolls right, delivers his dime to AJ Brown, gets into the goal line. They score a touchdown. Jalen Hurts is running to the sideline. Nick Sirianni says, "That's why I trust you. That's why I trust you." Hurts says, "You should. You should." So let's see if that stays. Let's see if he can maintain that level of trust when things get hot, when things get tight. Let's find out.
Ask you this: 4th quarter, Monday night. Nick Sirianni's on his own 35. 2 minutes left in the game. He's got one timeout. It's 4th and 1. Are you going brotherly shove? Or are you trying to play the metrics and the analytics and you're going to punt it away to Mahomes? Or are you going for it?
I'm going brotherly shove. Listen to this. It's so funny you said that, right? On the 35 in the Super Bowl, on one of those drives, right in the 4th quarter. It was 3rd and 3 at the Eagles 32-yard line. Hurts threw a pass to Smith. It was incomplete. 4th and 3 at the Philadelphia 32. Eagles decided to punt it because they got passive. They were down by 1 point, by the way. Remember, they're down by 1 point this time, 28-27. They're down by 1 point.
What was the time?
It was 10 minutes and 33 seconds left. You go for that. You want to know why? Because, there's no way you can predict this, but guess what had happened? They punted. Kadarius Toney returns at 65 yards, puts them in touchdown position. They didn't even have to work for it. Now you're down by 8.
Special teams.
Then you get the ball back, you score a touchdown. Now you tie the game up. You know what Kansas City does? They burn the clock. They burn the final 5 minutes. Destroys it. So again, 4th and 3, 4th and 2, 4th and 1. Your side of the field. You got all that time left. Listen, man.
So you're saying Nick don't have any balls?
I'm saying he better keep the one. I'm saying he better keep the ones he got. I'm saying he better keep the ones that he showed us so far. He better keep the ones he showed us.
Balls against Washington. It's hard to have them same nuggets when you got to play Kansas City and the Cowboys and the 49ers.
And that's the difference between Doug Peterson and Nick Sirianni. It didn't matter who he was playing. The balls was always sitting on the table.
What was
it didn't matter who he was playing. That's the difference. It don't matter. Listen, he went up against Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, the goats of goats of goats. He said, I didn't come here to play. I didn't come here to shake hands. I'm not here for a good time. I came to stay a long time. You feel what I'm saying? So
I do.
That's the difference right there. Don't change your tendencies because of who you're playing. Let them know who you are out the gate. That's why that Cowboys first drive, you brought it up, right? They went for it on 4th and 1 on their own territory. Brotherly shove. The first drive. Then they drive down the field. They drive down the field in their own territory, in enemy territory. They're in the red zone. It's 4th and 3. He decides to go for it again. Hurts throws a dime to Dallas Goedert. He went forward on 4th down twice in his first offensive drive. That's who you are. You live with that and you die by that. And that was a high stakes game, was it not?
Yeah, let me.
So that's the kind of energy you need to have in the playoffs. I'm willing to live and die by it. That's just me, though.
Hey, finally here. Do you think Andy Reid enjoys beating the Eagles the Eagle way?
Repeat that question.
Do you think Andy Reid enjoys beating the Eagles the Eagle way, running the ball, and he's 2-0?
You think he's that vindictive?
Do you think there's any coincidence that that's the only team that they really run the ball? Yet he almost got 400 yards on you in running. They don't do that. That's not they ran the ball 60 times on you in 2 games. You think that team runs the ball a shitload of? They might run it more this year, but that guy threw for 5,400 yards last year, Tone. They're not running the ball with balance last year.
You might be.
So my point is, don't you think he has some satisfaction having run the ball for 200 yards and 160 yards in 2 games on you at 6 yards a clip? Don't you think there's a little bit of, I don't know about vindictive, or don't you think there's a smile that says, I beat them at their own game?
Yeah, at your own game, yeah. It's something to be said about that, because in 2021, when they beat us, they were only averaging 119 on the ground. And they were ranked.
And they went for 200.
And they went for 200 plus, right? And then in 2022, as far as rushing yards per game, they were ranked 20th with 115. So 2 years in a row they beat you, and they're not running teams at all. But in those games they run the ball on you. So there may be something to that, but also
look.
Yeah. And also in both those seasons, the Eagles had no run defense.
That's like Harbaugh not throwing a pass in the second half against Penn State, going, I don't need signs. I'm gonna whoop you. Hey, look, do I think Andy is? No, I do not. But do you think he takes satisfaction though in beating them Eagles after firing them?
I wouldn't even be shocked, because if you think about it, in that Super Bowl, if you look at the stat sheet blindly and not know what team did what, you would think Patrick Mahomes threw 300 plus yards. Like, you would think Mahomes stats was Hurts stats. You would think Hurts stats was Mahomes stats if you looked at it blindly. But
actually, both games.
Both games. So I think it's important for Nick and those guys to really revisit what went wrong in those 2 matchups. What's the common denominator?
The common denominator is they did shit that you didn't think they would do.
Exactly.
That's coaching, isn't it?
So last
you better be better prepared.
So I got a question for you real quick. What do you think Andy Reid is telling his team right now in regards to the Eagles? What do you think Andy Reid is anticipating the Eagles are going to do? Not what do you think the Eagles are going to do, but what do you think Andy Reid is anticipating that they're going to do?
That we're going to throw the ball on them, and they're not going to stop us. But we're first going to do this because they're expecting that. We're going to run the ball on them. We are going to run the ball on them for the 3rd straight game. Now, it's not going to be important, the yardage number. It's going to be important, the yards per carry, because the yards per carry, like you said, keeps me honest and at home. They're going to take those Washington games, and they're going to look at the Washington games and combine the last 2 that they've played, and they're going to put that game plan together. Quick hitch passes, because they know the corners are going to play off. They're going to have to play off.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, they're going to play pitch and catch. You know what this is going to come down to? The team that scores in the red zone and has more red zone success and runs the ball more is going to win Monday night. Because you know what? There's going to be a lot of damage done by both teams from 20 to 20. Both teams have kind of had issues. The Eagles have gotten better in the red zone. Okay. But at the end of the day, Tone, a lot of yards are going to be put up. I don't know if a lot of points are going to be put up, but I do know a lot of yards because a lot of pitch and catch is going to go on here. Red zone is going to be the key and the running game, because for the Kansas City Chiefs to beat you the way they did, the running game has been the issue the last 2 weeks or the last 2 games.
I couldn't have said it better myself, big dog.
Awesome stuff, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Big Sills.
You got it. That's my friend Tone, each and every single day, Monday through Friday, 3:30. Don't forget, Barrett Brooks is also going to join us at the bottom of this hour here. Happy Wingsgiving from our friends at Hooters. Folks, Iconic Hooter Girls want to thank you guys this November by having a daily special each and every single day this entire month of November. $2.99 Coors Light drafts. 25 cents of each purchase goes to local charities. The 2024 Hooters calendars are out. 9 of the girls from the Northeast area are featured in the calendar. Plus, there's also $100 in coupons that are inside the calendars. Go to northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com to find the location nearest you. Lunch specials Monday through Friday, 11:30 to 3 p.m. Boneless wings. Military Mondays, 20% off all day for our men and women who served our great country. Wing Wednesdays, 1983. That's the year the place was founded. And plus, kids eat for free on Saturdays. NortheastTutors.com. That's NortheastTutors.com. And do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio, or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
We're here to show you a better way to spend your state income taxes and get the money to where it's needed to most to the thousands of qualified kids.
What we like about Blocks is they really know where the need is.
This program ensures that their dollars come 100% into these kids for their tuition assistance.
If you are able, Blocks makes the EITC piece go very quickly and very smoothly.
Turn your PA state tax liability into need-based scholarships and receive a 90% tax credit.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Eric Brooks is going to join us in a couple of minutes, and Philadelphia. Couple college notes here. Looks like UCLA is in the position of potentially relieving Chip Kelly of his duties at the end of the season. I'm going to defend him. Who does UCLA think they are? I mean, really, you act like you're a football power. You're a basketball school. What would give you that notion that you are a football power? Like, there's self-awareness right there that you have no idea who you are and you think you're something more. You're not. You're a basketball program. You have no history really whatsoever, really. You didn't take advantage of USC being down during probation to elevate your program. You were more concerned about the basketball program still. Chip's done a nice job there. He's 33-33. That's winning, in my opinion, there. You're not a relevant program. You make it sound like UCLA football is a national power. They're not. They're a national school and sports program, for sure. Football program, basketball, shit, your volleyball team has more titles than what your football team has done in the last 60 years. It's a joke. I mean, nobody goes to the Rose Bowl. Why in the world would you fire a guy who's made you relevant? You beat LSU a couple of years ago. I don't get it. Sills, I may be fishing with Barrett Brooks this summer. Oh, that'd be cool, dude. Way to go, Maniac. I love Barrett. It's kind of crazy. Anthony goes, Chip's not a people person. You don't have to be a people person in college. You don't have to be the nicest guy. You just have to be a great recruiter. Are you under the assumption that Chip Kelly is anything different than he was when he was up at Oregon? He's the same guy. He's a college coach. You don't have to be a great college football coach or a great teacher and great coach to be a successful college football coach. You got to be a great recruiter. You got to be able to find a Jimmy's and Joe's. You don't have to be a people person. NFL you do. Because once you pay them, you got to play them. That's probably more right, yo. That Chip, because of his bedside manner, pissed off the owner of the Eagles. He probably pissed off the athletic director. And probably most important, Chip probably pissed off the boosters in the way that he doesn't take time for him because he's a football guy. I know him. I know him a little bit. He's from the Northeast area too. I think he's from like Vermont or someplace up there, New Hampshire or something like that. Me and him have crossed paths. I've posted pictures of me and him. I've met him a bunch of times. I think he knows talent. I think he knows talent in coaching. Obviously, he hired the greatest coach next to Jim Johnson in Eagle history, and Jeff Stoutland. He brought Jeff Stoutland to you. He brought Lane Johnson to you. I mean, don't make it sound like he didn't have an impact when it came to putting guys on a team. Again, you guys hated his bedside manner. Okay, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I get it. But he's a college coach. Are you under the impression Nick Saban was a good NFL coach? He's from New Hampshire. Okay. Nick Saban wasn't a good NFL coach. Nick Saban was probably just as good an NFL coach as Brian Kelly was, or Chip Kelly was. Chip Kelly at least won 11 ball games with the Eagles. Didn't he have a winning record with you guys? Nick Saban didn't have a winning record with the Dolphins. Hey, and you guys keep bringing that stuff up. He got rid of McCoy and Djax. You needed to. 2 years later, you won a Super Bowl. They weren't helping you win a Super Bowl. 2 out of 3 seasons, he won 10 or more games. That's not failure. That's not failure. No, his asshole attitude, that's failure. You have to have people that back you and believe in you. And when you alienate those folks, that's why when you're successful, it doesn't matter how successful you are. They're going to get rid of you. Here's a great example. If some people love Donald Trump, some people don't. You know what gets in the way of Trump's policies? Trump. He can't get out of his own way. Says something dumb, bad bedside manner, talks shit to people, treats people like shit. Basically like a coach. He treats you like Chip Kelly or Nick Saban. You think those guys are people? I don't think Donald Trump's a people person. Okay? Speaking of Nick Saban, real quick before we move on here, I want to put my list of top quarterbacks versus CBS is here in a second here. I gotta say this to you here. So you know that soft ass Big Ten and all that bullshit that they went through with COVID-19 and all that, stopping and starting the season and all their shit and all that stupid ways, and how the SEC barreled through it and played and were right in the end, and why they're the number one college football conference in the country, and why all the best kids, hell, your Eagles, get this, your Eagles even know that. That's where they do all their grocery shopping, is in the SEC, no? They do all their grocery shopping down there. Bama guys, Georgia guys, SEC guys. That's where they do their shopping. They don't go to that bullshit Big Ten. Do you actually think in your right mind the SEC would ever suspend Nick Saban for the dumb shit that they've suspended Jim Harbaugh for? Not happening. Not happening. They don't do that crap at the SEC. That ain't working for them. You think they'd have the balls to go to Nick Saban, even bring a case against Nick Saban where they made him sit games out because of some antiquated rule that should be outlawed anyway? That's a rule from 1954, some sportsman bullshit rule about, with technology today, I could try to steal signs off the television set. How dumb is that? You're suspending him. You would never do that to Nick Saban. So the SEC guy comes in and goes, hey, Nick, you're suspended because you sent a scout to scout Auburn. You don't think there's Alabama guys and alumni guys going back to coaches and telling the Alabama coaches what Auburn does for the Iron Bowl? Holy cow, are you dumb? How dumb? Trump, look at Yale. Trump has 91 felony counts against him. He's finished. He's going to win a nomination in the White House because of those 91. You're welcome. Democrats keep doing it. You keep feeding them and making them relevant. And if he's running against Biden, he's going to win in a landslide. I would not want that guy in the White House. There will be some people coming after your ass. Yeah, I would not want that guy. If he does, Yale goes, if he does, the country's over. We're in 2 wars now, dude. I mean, what are you talking about? Let's move on here. Here, I want to show you the respect that I give your guy. Okay? I want to show you the respect that I give your guy where the national people don't. And I want to show you something about what we talk about all the time, winning. Winning should matter. CBS put out a top 10 quarterback list. They do it weekly. I do mine on Tuesdays. I do mine on Tuesdays, do theirs today. And this is what I did versus them. CBS has Justin Herbert, number 10. I got Trevor Lawrence, number 10. I think 6-3 matters more in how he's led his football team more than how Justin Herbert has led his team. They got Joe Burrow at 9. Aren't they underwater now? I got Dak 9. At least he's 6-3. They got Brock Purdy 8. I got Jared Goff 8. They don't even have Jared Goff ranked. Jared Goff is 7-2. They don't have Jared Goff ranked, but they got Justin Herbert ranked. This goes into the respect that I talked to you about with Jalen Hurts. You see that. They care more about how good he is than what he's doing for the benefit of his team. Okay? Jared Goff is 7-2. They got Dak 7. I got Burrow 7. They got Tua 6. I got CJ Stroud 6. They got Josh Allen 5. I don't have Josh Allen ranked. I got Brock Purdy 5. They've got Lamar Jackson 4. I got Tua 4. They got Mahomes 3. I got Lamar Jackson 3. They got Hurts 2. Pretty much the only one we got right here together is Hurts 2. But Hurts is probably really number 1. But no, they put CJ Stroud 1. I got Mahomes 1. He's still the reigning heavyweight champion, as far as I'm concerned. CJ Stroud versus Patrick Mahomes in a 60-minute football game. Who are you taking? Who are you taking? Stroud or Mahomes? As good as the kid is, Stroud's not overrated. You're overrated when you're on a great football team and you can't get shit done. CJ Stroud's not on a great football team. Hey, Tone, what's the kid's name that's the receiver that I've never heard of? The kid Nico. Where's he been? What was the kid's name? What's the kid's name? Nico? That plays? What's that receiver? I've never heard of him. What's that guy's name? I'm going to take a look at his numbers too. Nico Collins. Let's take a look at this. Nico Collins stats. Nico Collins? Who's that? Okay, here's Nico Collins and his NFL career. He's been there since 21. He had 33 receptions in 21 for 446. In 22, he had 37 for 481. And this year alone, he's got 631 yards in 8 games, 5 starts, averaging 17.5, and he's got 4 touchdowns. He's doubled his touchdown output because CJ Stroud showed up. This guy's on pace for 1,300 yards, and I never heard of him. That's impact. That's when you know you're getting it done. That to me right there, again, in a nutshell, that's when you know you're getting it done, is that you're making everybody else around you better. And everyone's impacting from your play. And CJ Stroud is, man. Make no mistake about it. He's totally killing it. He's totally killing it, man. All right. I didn't get a chance to get to this. We're efforting our friend Barrett Brooks here. Hopefully we're able to connect with him here in a second. By the way, real quick, before I get into my coaching of the year, and I got to keep, I'm sending my ballot in here. I love the red tone. I don't know if you saw the red floor. I love the Sixers red floor that they have. I saw it last night. I kind of was looking around and I saw the red floor. I dig the red floor that they have. I like the look. Now, I like the old 76er emblem, but I like the floor during the holidays. Okay? I thought it was good looking. All right. I send a ballot in, and I'm up to my semifinalists right now when it comes to the NFL Coach of the Year. And I do this for the NFL honors. I didn't get a chance to get to it yesterday, so I'm going to do it now. I got 10 guys I've got here, all for different reasons here. At 10, I got Shane Steichen. I think he's done a magnificent job with the Indianapolis Colts, overcoming a shitty owner. Has a great general manager in Chris Ballard. But look at the quarterback stuff he's had to deal with. 2 different quarterbacks to get him to a 500 record in the AFC. Shane Steichen is missed. We agree, right? He's missed on the Eagle coaching staff. He's missed. Isn't it funny? I thought you guys told me that Brian Johnson was Jalen's boy. You've known him since he had like a binky in his mouth, and they were boys. Doesn't seem to be a factor, did it? Shane Steichen put an offense in there for Jalen, customized it around him, made an offense for him. Brian Johnson is getting better at it, but Jalen Hurts kind of wobbled out of the gate, didn't he? He's missed. He's sorely missed. Okay? I got Pete Carroll 9. I think Pete's done a great job in Seattle. Remember something. You're taking a reclamation project in Geno Smith, and you have turned your program around with Geno Smith. Do you think the Eagles would be winning football games with Geno Smith? If Geno Smith was in Philly, you think you'd be winning the way you're winning now? You think you'd have that kind of success? Now, I do think that the Eagles have a better roster than Seattle, but they're skilled guys. Aren't both their Y and Z pretty good? Not a bad O-line. It's gotten better. Their receivers are pretty good with DK and that other kid on the other side. Pete Carroll is fighting out the NFC West with Geno Smith. Get this. Geno Smith and Brock Purdy, in my opinion, it's crazy. You know, I didn't realize this. I don't have Kyle Shanahan on this list. At number 8, I got Doug Peterson. Jacksonville. I think he's done a wonderful job with the Jags. They're 6-3. They're changing culture. Trevor Lawrence, albeit it was a bad game. But get this, the Niners are the second best team, maybe the third best team in the NFL. You lost to the third best team in the NFL. Okay. That could be a Super Bowl rematch. You know, that could be a Jacksonville versus the 49ers. That could be a Super Bowl game. I think Doug's done a magnificent job. One of my favorite coaches in the league. I do have Kyle Shanahan on here. I'm kidding. I got Shanahan number 7. I think he's done a great job with Brock Purdy, overcoming the deficiencies at times when they have injuries. I'll tell you one thing, though, that is truly remarkable about that team. He can win with multiple different quarterbacks, but if you have multiple positions that have injuries in it, his quarterbacks struggle. Whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo or Brock Purdy or Trey Lance, if all those pieces aren't working in his game plan, like you miss out on Debo with those jet sweeps and such, he does a better job when all of his personnel are on the field and in the huddle versus the quarterback being injured. I think he's over. I don't think he's overrated. I think he's overhyped. I got Nick Sirianni 6th. When you're a winning team and you got a lot of pieces around you, you're never going to get the justice that you should get. I don't think that Bill Walsh or Chuck Noll or Tom Landry or any of those successful coaches have really more than 2 Coaching of the Year awards. You know, with all the success that Bill's had, has he won the NFL Coach of the Year award more than twice? Or Walsh twice? I'm not even sure Jimmy Johnson won Coach of the Year. He may have won it once. I think Shula twice. When you're a coach that has great success, this is the only award that they gauge you by if you take a shitty team and you make it 500. You understand that? If you're a team that wins so like how many times has Andy Reid won the NFL Coach of the Year award? Twice? He's been to 10 conference title games. Has he won it twice? More than twice? I'd be shocked if he's won that thing more than twice. Right? Or Tony Dungy. How many times has Dungy won that thing? Twice? When you're a successful coach, you don't get that award. You just don't. You don't get that love. Number 5, Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota. I think he's done a magnificent job with the football team. I really do. I think Kevin O'Connell with Josh Dobbs and them, I don't know how far they're going to go. You got to remember something about a project that's going on right now, like Josh Dobbs and the Vikings. You got to remember here what we're talking about. That thing could go south in 10 seconds. So you don't know what you're going to get every week because you don't know yet, and the players still don't know Josh Dobbs. They see him in the building. They see he knows what he's doing. But how are you going to, after teams get a book on you, how are you going to counter adjust? I like the kid. I think the kid should get an opportunity at Minnesota. I'd love to see him get that opportunity. I got number 4. I got Mike Tomlin. I have no idea how he wins. Wait a minute. It's Pittsburgh. It's Pittsburgh. Why do I say that? It's Pittsburgh. All coaches in Pittsburgh are Hall of Famers. If you become the head football coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers in today's NFL, you're a Hall of Famer. The day you sign your contract, you're going to Canton. The Rooneys do not hire poor head coaches. They just don't. I've never seen anything like it. I have never seen anything like what goes on in Pittsburgh. Do you understand something about the gold standard in Pittsburgh? The gold standard in Pittsburgh is this: they haven't had more than 3 coaches since 1969. I've told you this before. There's been more popes and presidents of the United States than head coaches in Pittsburgh. That is the gold standard. Tons of head coaches, not the way to go. Knee-jerk reactions, that's not the way to go. That's what Philly's doing now. They're stabilizing that front office since Norman Brayman, our good friend who played for both. And I'll tell you this, man. He has to. How fortunate is Barrett Brooks? And, man, I love his journey and how he became a 10-plus NFL veteran. My wife and my family adored this man. And he played in Philly and he played in Pittsburgh. Man, what a great group of men to work for. Kevin Colbert and all them guys. Our friend Barrett Brooks from NBC Philadelphia joins us now here on the National Football Show. Barrett, appreciate you coming aboard. You there, man?
I'm here.
There you go, man.
Here we go. I'm here now, bro. Man, I apologize for my tardiness, man. I was trying to get in. Of course, you know, traffic here in Philadelphia, man. But I appreciate it. Love your family, man. And yeah, man, I was blessed enough to play with 2 great organizations that really care about their players, man. You know, you talk about consummate pros as far as management. I mean, look at the Steelers. They're devout Catholics. They still serve fish on Fridays, every Friday. You know, that's how they are, man. So just a great organization to play in. And you see what's going on over here in Philly. Philly's the same way. You know, they don't like the knee-jerk reactions of just, you know, all right, you're out of here, even though they want to make sure they lay a solid foundation, especially in the front office, since, you know, hence Howie Roseman being here as long as he has been.
Barrett, I'm going to ask you something here. 9 months ago was the Super Bowl. In your opinion, have the Eagles closed the gap on the Kansas City Chiefs? Or do you think Kansas City's gotten better? And do you think the Eagles have what? Your opinion, have they closed the gap at all on Kansas City?
I think they closed the gap as far as the offensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball, I think that they're about even right now. I think we had a better defense last year. I think now Kansas City might have a better defense. Of what they've done, they took 2 young corners and just played them, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. Guys like Duffy and those guys were able to go out there and make a substantial, you know, and Snead a substantial, you know, way in which they are playing at a high level, and they showed it early. You know, of course, he's been there for a long time, but, you know, you look at a guy like Duffy, you know, he's a first rounder last year, starting now, playing well, started last year, started in the Super Bowl, let him go through his bumps and bruises, and it played out for him because he's one of the better corners in the league defensively. I mean, once they get their young linebacker back, also the linebacker from Mizzou back, once he gets back, they're going to be even better. So, you know, you got Gay, the linebacker, he's good. Their defense is good. They're calling. You know, right now, I think the power of that team now is defense. Then you got to go Mahomes. And I think that's why they're winning the way they're winning right now.
How about this, Barrett? The last 2 games that they've played, I think this could be a telling trend. You and I know trends. We believe in trends. Here's the last 2 game plans against the Eagles, which is incredible because if you look at what those 2021 and this last year, they were ranked like 20th in running the ball. In 21, they ran the ball 32 times for 200 yards at a 6.3 clip. The Eagles had 19 carries in that 21 game for 103, 5.4, but because they got behind, they bailed. In the Super Bowl 9 months ago, Barrett, Kansas City ran the ball 26 times for 158, 6.1 a clip. And the Eagles 32 for 115 at 3.6 a clip. They bailed because when Miles put the ball on the turf, the scoop and score, they felt that they had to hang with them by throwing the ball. Do you think that this is going to be the important part of this game is winning first down? Because here's something on the defensive side that's not good. The Eagles surrendered the most first downs of any defense in the NFL. They're last in the league on that. First down has to be the number 1 priority. Do you think Monday night?
It has to be, you know, because if you look at, you know, Pacheco is one of the better backs in the league. You say what you want to say. This Rutgers kid went in, took the starting job from McKinney and all those guys, and is playing at a high level and playing like he wants to be the bell cow back of that team, and it's working for him. You know, he ran the ball consistently against an Eagles defense that couldn't stop the run. It used to be the Achilles heel of the offense because everybody on first down would get at least 6 yards a pop, 6 yards a clip. Now you're in second and third and manageable all the time. Well, this should be the turning point. You know how it is on defense. During the times when it starts getting cold, you start running the ball consistently. That's when teams start jogging for position. Understand that you're going to have to run the ball in these cold weather games. And if you can do that and control it, it's better for your offense. And those are the teams that usually do well when in playoff time are the teams that can run the ball consistently and stop the run. If you can stop first down, if first down is not your Achilles heel, and you can get them into second and long, third and long, now those guys on the outside can hunt. Now you got the Sweats. Now you got the Reddicks. You got guys like that can go out there and play pass rush. But you got to earn the right to rush the passer. It's not just given to you. You got to earn the right. So that means you got to stop them on first and second down. If they don't stop Pacheco on first and second down, it'll be a long day for that defense.
Do you agree, Barrett? This is why I say that the secondary has struggled. There's a couple factors, obviously injury in the safety position. Maybe the guys are getting a little bit older, but Barrett, I think it's the volume of pressure that they're not getting. Look, the sacks are there, but the volume of pressure that they got on quarterbacks means this. You're going to have more lengthier developing routes that are going to give you a lesser margin of error, which means that you're going to see deeper throws down the field because they play off the board and scheme, and you're allowing guys like Sam Howell to throw for 773 yards in 2 games because you're allowing these routes. Last year, they let everything underneath, Barrett, and they were able to play underneath. Now it's more in front of their face. It's kind of the volume of pressure. Second half of last year, Barrett, they picked it up. Reddick picked it up. BG picked it up. Maybe that's what they were doing, keeping them on a pitch count. But do you think that is one of the only ways that you're going to help this secondary out right now is that you got to get more volume of hits on the quarterback?
Well, that's the problem. It goes hand in hand. They're playing too far off. You got to play tighter coverage. You got to take that first read away. If you take that first read away, that means that quarterback has to hold it just for that second. You have good enough pass rushers that you can get around the corner, but you can't get around the corner if it's like 1 second and the ball is out of your hand. That quarterbacks are getting the ball out of their hand like 1.8 seconds. 1, 2, 3, bam, it's out. It's out.
Pitch and catch.
You can't. Yeah, you can't allow your cornerbacks to play that far off. They got to play tighter. And when you put them in position like in the second half, that's why they're a better second half team than a first half team. In the first half, they try to say, all right, what are you doing to us? And they make adjustments. Why not go out there and put those guys on? I mean, it's not like, I understand, you're seeing Bradbury and Slay are older players, and now Roby being in the slot, they're older players. But give them an opportunity to go out there and play. Give them an opportunity to get tight on guys, reroute guys. They're good enough to do that. And if you do that, now that quarterback will start making mistakes, because when you got a guy like Sweat, tapping you on your shoulder, or Hassan Reddick tapping you on your shoulder, now things start getting a little iffy and dicey. Now you can go out there and make big plays. I think this Kansas City game is going to come up to a guy, and I think this is why Howie Roseman went out and got him, Kevin Byard. He has had the most success against Kelsey than any other safety in the league. And I think it was strategic in them going out and getting him, by the trade deadline. So, hopefully, I know you're not going to be able to stop Kelsey. There's nobody in the league that's going to stop Kelsey, but you can stop everybody else, and at least Byard can slow him down just a little bit, which will give your defense an opportunity to go make plays on Patrick Mahomes.
You know what, Barrett? I tried telling people this. The reason that you see more rotating on defensive lines is because you don't need continuity over there. All you need is playmakers, because you could have 10 guys, Barrett, blow all assignments. One guy break through the backfield, make a tackle for loss, the play's dead. But if you have one O-lineman who doesn't slip, scoop, have a flat step, pass protect, watch the backside guy, the play's blown up, and the whole thing is over with.
Absolutely.
That right guard that they have, and get this, people are going like this, well, Cam Jurgens may be back for Monday night. Well, he's going against a guy who killed you in the Super Bowl, Chris Jones. This is not going to be, you're playing a guy out of position, and you think that's automatically, he killed Isaac Seumalo, and Seumalo's had an impact on the Steelers. They're 6-3. Am I wrong? Why is that so hard? Like, for an offensive line, I mean, it really is. You've got to be in sync, and that takes years, doesn't it, Barrett, for you to have that continuity?
You got to play in concert. It's different with the offensive line and defensive line. You can freestyle. You can go out there and play one-on-one. You can't do that with the offensive line. Offensive line, everybody is unwritten, unseen, unscripted stuff that you don't see. That, all right, I can look over my guard or look over my tackle and say, hey, you see this going on because we played against this before. We've seen this happen before. And you read and react instantly because you've been through it before.
And he may give him a little push to push him back over to his heads up on you as he's going out. He may hit him like, that's all you need, because you guys have played together.
Cam hasn't been playing for 5 weeks. No, 6 weeks now, isn't it?
6.
6 weeks. That camaraderie, that cohesiveness is not there anymore. So, but I mean, he is a better athlete. Chris Jones is probably one of the best, if not a top 3 defensive lineman in the NFL, period. There's a reason why after that first game, he saw what Detroit did to him, that they signed him that very next week. they knew they needed to get him back in the middle of that defense to solidify that defense. If they had a shot of being as good as they were last year, they had to have him back in the locker room. They had to have him back on that field. He is that much of an impact player. So at the end of the day, they're going to have him, playing in a way in which, all right, Lane, help him out. Kelsey, you help him out. He's got to come back and play like he never left, because Chris Jones, if you saw what happened against Dallas. Everybody's talking about, you got, we're gonna put Micah Parsons out on the tackles. No, as soon as they put Micah Parsons in the game, he lined right up over the rookie right guard, and he had a field day against them. He was almost unblockable when he went into that 3 technique. So they know what they're doing. Chris Jones will be right up over Cam Jurgens, understanding that this guy hadn't played in a while. They don't know if his wind's going to be there. He didn't have that cohesiveness, saying that all right, I know this is happening. I'm going to bump you off, or we got to slip this, or I got to block down on this. Kelsey, you see this going on over here. Give me this call. They don't have that camaraderie, that cohesiveness just yet. So, yeah, they're going to have to do things a little different with Cam being there, because there's been musical chairs since Cam Jurgens been out. It's been 3 different guys start there since Cam went out.
Couple last questions for you here. I tried bringing this up, and maybe you disagree with me here. Last year, you had 1,300 yards rushing from Miles. You had about 750 from Jalen. That's $2,000. You had 13 TDs and 11. That's 24 touchdowns and 2,000 yards between 2 men, which gave the physical running game, because the most physical part of your run game is your quarterback. Okay? It's not – Barrett, they took Swift out in Detroit in the red zone. The Eagles take him out in the red zone. Do you think that's a little bit of where the physicality and where the run game has suffered a little bit, is because the injury to Hurts is that look at the production between 2 men.
There's no question about that.
24 touchdowns. That's a lot to replace, and I don't think it's been replaced.
Dan, they haven't replaced it because, number one, the threat that Jalen brings to the table as far as running it doesn't affect the defense the same way it did. So, used to have a guy that would spy because Jalen's legs were so good. You couldn't just, it's the difference between you got 11 guys on defense and then you got 11 guys on offense. But since Jalen's not running, he's playing pocket quarterback, that means the defense is only defending 10 guys. So you don't need to have that guy there. You can have a guy in coverage now. You can bring a guy in blitzing because you're not worried about Jalen running the ball.
Do you think they're more finesse now this year than they were a year ago?
I believe that they're not doing it. They're not running the ball the way they should. And running ball is nothing but physicality. I'm going to be bigger than you. I'm going to play better than you. I'm going to hit you in the mouth. When you don't have Jalen's presence as far as running the ball, it takes away from the threat. And now you're defending only 10 men. Now you have 11 guys to defend 10. But now that I think Jalen's going to be back now. I think Jalen's going to change the corner. He's going to get back in his running. Now you're going to have to spy him a little bit. Now when he runs the read option, you legitimately have to read the read option. If that defensive end crashes down, Jalen will run now, because I think this week of rest and him understanding that we're getting into the time in which we need Super Jalen, to come out of his shell. I think you're going to get that. So when you're going to get that, you're going to play in 11 against 11. And I think our 11 is better than their 11. Our 10 is not better than their 11, but our 11 is better than their 11. Put it like that, on the defensive side of the ball against our offense.
Who do you think this bye has benefited more? The 27-4 Andy Reid out of a bye, or the slightly banged up and now Goddardless less Eagles going into that bye? Who do you think this thing benefited more?
Well, we know Andy Reid has not lost.
That's an insane number too, by the way.
It is, man. It is. It's an insane number, because what Andy does, the no other coach does. He knows how to read his locker room. He knows how to implement plays that takes advantage of the skill set that his guys have. He looks and evaluates, and knows that he needs to. All right, I need to pull something out this player here, or let me pull something out this player. Let me run plays that'll highlight this guy's strengths. Nobody does that better than Andy Reid, and that's what makes him so good coming out of the bye, because he has that little extra time to do it. I think the Eagles' only saving grace right now is they're getting back guys that, like a Cam Jurgens, like Roby, their cornerback. You know, those are guys in key positions. And when you look at them going up there now, I think Jalen Hurts has a lot to prove as far as him being a guy that's legitimate, and he wants to prove that he is one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. You know, he's already seen some guy fall off. You know, Buffalo, they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on up there. They really don't know. But, you know, I think Jalen's game went from being just a guy that's a dual threat who can throw and pass, to now he can be a drop back quarterback. Now you don't know what you're going to get from him. And I think he's going to be that multifaceted game that he now has will take it to another level. So it's going to be a pretty interesting game. And, you know, player for player, I think the Eagles are a better team, but, you know, you got to add coaching into that. And the best quarterback in the league is Patrick Mahomes, and an unstoppable force in Kelsey. But I'm still going to go with my guys. I'm going to still go with the Eagles, Jalen Hurts. And you know, yes, Goddard is out. But I think if they're smart, they'll use a guy like Julio Jones, not as a blocking tight end, but that presence where Goddard was. And he will be a guy that could take the slack.
Maybe like Pitts in Atlanta, you move him off the ball there a little bit on the weak side, right?
I mean, we're talking about an all-pro a future gold jacket guy.
Knows how to get open.
Exactly. In a place where you usually put a tight end out there in the slot or maybe in a wing position and use him that way, a big frame guy. You're not worried about blocking because, you know, he's not going to block anybody, but you can't use him in the passing aspect. We're going to miss a lot from Goddard being a blocker. Calcaterra is not a blocker, you know, so you're going to lose that aspect, but you can gain something in that passing game with him being that threat out there and take some guys out of the box with his presence.
Finally here, Barrett, you know, I this is what this game means to me for Jalen. Again, I doubt that he thinks it this way, but I brought this up earlier in the program. I want to show you something here. And personally, I think that this has got a lot to do with how the perception is of Hurts and how people look at him when that elite conversation pops up. Look at the NFC here. Jalen Hurts, could he play in the AFC? Absolutely. Then you go Golf and Dak. Okay. Then you go Purdy. Well, still proving it. Sam Howell. Okay. And I'm not putting guys in order. I'm just trying to name 10 guys in the NFC. Kyler Murray. A guy needs a study book, but okay. Geno Smith. Okay. The guy who was fired in the AFC. Derek Carr. Now we're talking Josh Dobbs, who's like a substitute teacher in Minnesota. Okay. And Baker Mayfield rounds out the top 10. And then you look at Mahomes. You got Lamar Jackson. Look at the Thursday battle. You got Burrow, Lamar. I mean, Joe
That's going to be unbelievable. Might be the game of the season.
Herbert, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Stroud, Watson. I know he's out now. Russell Wilson's making a comeback. The point is that all these guys are first-round draft choices. These other guys are kind of like overachievers that have started, and Hurts is on the top of that overachieving because he's always been deemed that. And I think, like I said, if he loses this game on Monday, this is to the back of the bus of the MVP conversation. Mahomes is still going to be in it because he's got to play against some of these other guys. This guy is constantly fighting a perception that he doesn't belong with those guys. Why?
I think it's more so he came in under the vice that he was just a running quarterback. And nobody really thought that he can go in and be a
$50 million doesn't take that away, though.
Well, not new. And plus, we played for the hardest fan base to really please in the NFL, and their national narrative of who Jalen Hurts was back then. I think it took a lot longer for people to get on the bandwagon, you know, because of that. Now, from this point on, they see now Jalen's legit. He is legit. Drop back quarterback, his legit running quarterback. And it's just going to take him knocking off last year's MVP to put him in the MVP race and have him go forward from this point on as a legitimate MVP candidate.
I think if he goes 4-1, Barrett, I think he wins it.
No question.
And I think he is going to go. I think they're going to lose to Seattle, but I think they're going to go 4-1. Shit, I heard people in Philly saying 2-3, and I'm like, I don't see that.
Right.
I think they have a great shot at going 4-1. And if he goes 4-1, I don't know how you don't give excuse me. I don't know how he doesn't earn the MVP award.
No question. Well, at the end of the day, everybody's saying 2-3, 3-2, 4-1. You know what I'm saying? That team has to play the Eagles. Regardless of how they played, they always find a way to win. And I'll put my money on this team twice on Sunday simply because they find a way to win. Somebody steps up and wins the game, and I like the Eagles' chances. I'm not saying they're going to lose any game. I'm going to say they're going to keep going the way they're going, keep playing the way they're playing, and they're learning so many things from these close games that's going to help them out. When the rubber hits the road, they'll be ready to roll.
You know, Bert, I'm going to leave you on this one here too. I'm promising you this here. Listen, this is when Jalen Hurts is going to be elite. When that debate,
yep.
You know what? When I hear hosts on the radio and I hear everyone going, "This is why he's elite," and I hear a guy bring up elite 20 times, I go, "He's not elite then," because if there's a debate about it, nobody debates Patrick Mahomes.
Nope.
Nobody debates Peyton Manning or Tom Brady if you're debating that, Josh Allen, you're debating that. Joe Burrow, you're debating that. Elite to me means consistently being in a championship setting, which he is, okay? But once that ends, then he will be considered one of the premier guys.
And not just paid like it, but
there's a lot of selling for it. You know what I'm saying, Barrett?
Absolutely.
Barrett, you know, Reggie White, you didn't have to go like this. Hey, Reggie's elite.
No.
You'd look at him and go, really?
Mr. White, yes.
Right. Really? He's him and LT. Oh, you pick one. I'll take the other guy.
Right. I appreciate you, bro, man. Thanks for having me on, man. Like I said, bro, anytime you want me, man, tell the family I say hello. My mom says hello also, bro.
Absolutely, man. Barrett, I love you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. God bless you, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. All right, Tone.
You got it, man. The great Barrett Brooks, man. I totally love him so much. What a great, great broadcaster. We appreciate him doing that for us. Power Hour coming up. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
We're here to show you a better way to spend your state income taxes and get the money to where it's needed to most to the thousands of qualified kids.
What we like about Blocks is they really know where the need is.
This program ensures that their dollars come 100% into these kids for their tuition assistance.
If you are able, Blocks makes the EITC piece go very quickly and very smoothly.
Turn your PA state tax liability into need-based scholarships and receive a 90% tax credit.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their Fantasy Pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
E-A-G-L-E-S. Eagles.
Big Sills, Power Hour. Appreciate you coming up, man. I thank you so much. Please hit the like button. Thank you, Barrett Brooks. Man, I love that dude. This is a part of the program that I hate. I know some of you think that I wish shit like this to happen so that my takes or the pathetic comment of takes and spins or whatever turn out to be true. Actually, if some of you who have been following me for 30 years know me, I hope to be wrong like I was about Lamar Jackson. I'd rather have a guy like Lamar Jackson prove me wrong and go, wow, that's something special. That's great. I get more satisfaction out of that. I'm not here to wishful think anything and negatively on anybody. Okay? But that being said, I told you that Kobe Dean would never make the season. He would never play a full season. He's been placed on IR. It ain't happening, ever. He'll never fulfill his destiny in Philly. You need to draft another linebacker. He's unreliable. You know what the sad part about that is? You know the sad part, true sad part? He's probably a fine ball player. He's probably good. But he'll never live up to his draft of a third. This is going to be your second, third round draft choice at linebacker cut or waived consecutively. The Philadelphia Eagles cannot draft linebackers. You're terrible at it. That's not an opinion. And when John says Trotter, oh, you're thinking of the kid at Clemson. I like the kid. Their defense has played better the last 3 weeks. Okay? Anthony, that sucks. Look what hey Tone, put what Anthony just said. Put that up there for me if you can, please. Anthony, that sucks. That really sucks. Shit. I mean it with all my heart. That sucks. And Philip goes, I think that'll change. What makes you say that? You drafted him hurt. He's been in a walking boot or whatever his entire Eagle career. This guy spent more time on crutches than an NFL field. And yet you think that'll change. What gives you that notion? Hope? M. Reyes goes, year 3 will be his breakout year? How can you say that he will have a breakout year when he can't even put consecutive games together? Just being healthy. Again, see, Tone, everyone's missing it. I'm not talking about his ability. I'm just talking about his availability. I'm not criticizing the kid's play. How would I know? How would you know? You don't know. The only thing you can gauge him on is that kid is just not a healthy football player. He's not built for the NFL. He's just not. That, in other words, is a miss in the draft. That's a miss. And plus, you asked him to do things he's not capable of doing. You put him in the middle of the football field with massive traffic. Jesus, didn't you think at all that maybe if you put him on the perimeter on the weak side, he'd see less contact and maybe he could use some of his athleticism? But you put him right in the middle of all that traffic with all that work and all those men. It was destined to end this way. Senor goes, the same thing they said about Swift. Swift played. This kid doesn't play. Why in the world do you make, hey guys, at the end of the day, who gives a shit about Nakobe Dean? You need a linebacker. I don't care about the kid's name on the back of his jersey. I don't fall in love with this. I do what Howie does. I fall in like with him. Next. Need another guy. More reliable guy. No one cares. That kid has no equity. Big fan, Sills. Before season, you touted Purdy as Brock Turdy, saying he's not the guy. I did. Also said Jalen will never throw. Okay. Your thoughts now. Sean, the reason why I said Jalen Hurts will never throw for 4,000 yards was because last year he threw for 400 and I think it was 35 attempts. No quarterbacks throwing for 4,000. They've upped that, obviously. Okay. And they've increased the volume. He's on pace for almost 600 passing attempts. So obviously more attempts. And that's why the turnovers are there instead of 6. I went by the math. Plus missing games. And we'll see. By the way, Sean, we'll see if he still plays 17 games this year. I made that comment too at the beginning of the year, Sean. I do not believe Jalen Hurts plays 17 games. Now, if they sit him because they've wrapped up home field, that doesn't count. I'm talking about being hurt. I don't believe he's going to play 17 games. He hasn't yet. And he's hurt right now in the middle of the season. He's hurt earlier now than he was a year ago. Now, maybe this bye helped him. We'll see. Okay? At the end of the day, we'll see if Jalen, for the first time in his NFL career, plays a full season. That hasn't happened yet. Okay? First for everything. And Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has saved John Lynch's job because the last player taken in the draft is turning out to be a functional quarterback for them and making plays. Okay? We can only hope. Yeah. You're asking Jalen Hurts. Well, actually, you're not asking Jalen Hurts. That's why your run game's suffering. Your run game is suffering because don't you remember, you guys, I know you won't remember what I said after New England. And everybody on my channel and everybody around Philadelphia didn't want to give the attention that I gave it. I thought Jalen Hurts in that New England game was apprehensively sliding prior to contact. And I said, boy, I think I even mentioned it to Tone. After week 1, I went, man, he's surely getting down before contact. There was a preconceived notion this year not to have him run the ball in any way, shape, or form. Jalen's had to run this year out of necessity. There's been, how many design plays do you think that they've run with him this year so far? 40? Maybe? Last year, he was a focal point of that run game. You've not replaced $2,000 and 25 touchdowns. You haven't in 2 guys. You just haven't. And that's why you're more finesse this year. You just haven't. You think the Eagles are making a conscious decision to sacrifice Hurts' impact on the run game to make sure that it, yes, absolutely. They'd rather be more finesse this year and have more turnovers and deal with the turnovers, as long as they're winning, that would change, I think. If they started losing, they would go back to what they're comfortable doing. Remember in that, what was it, the Viking game, Tone? When Lane went like this? And I forget what game that was, where he went, let's go. And they ran the ball the entire rest of the game. Sills, 2-6 is the highlight of my day. Thank you, man. I think that's really cool, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay? I personally think if the Eagles had a worse record right now, I personally think that football team would go back and revert back to what they do best, and that's run. Okay? Do I think they turn them loose in the playoffs? I would. I think, again, I think it has a lot to do with this list here. I think if you're in the AFC and you're taking on quarterbacks on a week-to-week basis like the other guys are, and you're taking on Josh Dobbs, Sam Howell, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Dak Prescott, and the rest of these guys, I think you're more apt to play that style of football, saving them. I think if you have to line up on a weekly basis and go Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud, I don't think you have any margin for error there. That's why some of those teams wobble over in the AFC. Nobody's going to wobble if you're a good team in the NFC, unless you have injuries, because you don't have anybody to fear. You think Jalen Hurts fears any quarterback in the NFC? Maybe Jared Goff? You can get beat on any given Sunday in the AFC because of the quarterback play. C.J. Stroud showing you that. Wilson's back in the conversation again. Thoughts on Watson being done for the year? I think it's atrocious on what the medical staff in Cleveland has done to him. He was telling you the whole year his shoulder was hurt. He had structural damage. They didn't believe him. You toted out a head football coach who made asinine comments about him saying, we cleared him, and now he's ready to play. Well, he wasn't. Now he has emergency surgery because your doctors have malpractice. But because you paid him $230 million, you let the public believe, my fault, that he was a worm and didn't want to play and didn't want to play for his team. That you cleared him. Of course you cleared him. You cleared him because the owner, Jimmy Haslam, put $250 million into his pocket and wanted a return on investment. Instead, you ran your season into the ground. Congratulations. And you almost ran your quarterback into retirement. How dumb can you be in Cleveland? You are just the dumbest organization on the planet. You have done nothing right since that franchise was put back in Cleveland. It's been a train wreck. How many quarterbacks have they had in Cleveland since the franchise was given the team back? 50? Okay? They damn near convinced the public to bully him to play. They did. And I'm guilty of that. Shame on me. I know better, too, never to trust coaches or medical staff people. I know better. I totally know better. Man, guy played shot up ankle. Hey, get this. This guy's playing with structural damage against the Ravens. On the road, goes 14 of 14, beats them. He went for an MRI on his ankle. You know what the doctor said? They checked his shoulder out and said, you need emergency surgery. You have structural damage. He went in for his ankle. He didn't go in for his shoulder. And the Cleveland Browns, on top of the sexual assault, made him go, oh, he's just a rich punk who's entitled. Shame on us. Shame on me more than anything. I know better. I'll never do that again. I will never take an organization's word over a player again. I don't know how I did that. I just don't know how I did that. I never trust coaches. They always lie. Shit, Sirianni is a pathological liar on Wednesday coaches meetings about how they happy with the run game, happy with Brian Johnson's play calling, That was my call. I mean, they're all pathological liars. The only guy who's not a pathological liar is Belichick. Because he doesn't tell you anything. All of them lie. Shit, college coaches are more notorious. Got to tell the truth. And get this. What's crazy is the media is not owed anything. They think they are really part of the game. They're not. You're a witness to the game. Everything you know about football was taught to you by someone. You never played it. And by the way, I'm not talking about playing like at the NFL level. I'm just talking playing bitty football. You don't have to have played at that level to know the game. But you had to have at least had a jockstrap on. They led us to believe that Sean Watson was soft. That's my take on that. Now, I will give Barb, that's true too. You know how I know the Eagles take care of their players? Look at their cafeteria. You can always tell what an organization thinks of its players. Look at the cafeteria. Look at the cafeteria and look at the showers in the locker room and how it's kept. If it's immaculate and you don't have staph infections like you did in Cleveland a decade ago, you should know better. Cleveland had, remember all those players caught staph infections because they weren't cleaning the stalls because it cost them too much money? Or look at Arizona, considered the worst kept organization when it came to weight rooms and cafeterias. I believe that the Eagles take care of their guys. Look at the cafeteria. They got chefs in there morning, noon, and night. You get quality meals. You get gourmet meals, which means this. You probably get medical attention. That's the best on the planet when it comes to team doctors. You're allowed to have second opinions without anybody giving you shit. You know, organizations don't want you to have second opinions because, again, the owner wants you to get on the field. I think Jeffrey Lurie looks at his players and he looks at his players as people instead of commodities. I think 90% of the owners look at them as commodities and cattle. There, can I say cattle? Is that okay? Because I don't want to say the other thing because some of you will get bent. So is cattle okay? Okay. I think some of them, that's how they look at you. I mean, right. They serve filet mignon. They serve lobster. They have gourmet meals. You can always tell by an organization on how well they feed their players for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or snacks, or how their team, when they're on the road. Is it a first-class hotel that you stay in? Is it first-class food you're served? Are there chefs on the road with you? You would think organizations in the NFL do that. They don't do that. They'd rather cater something in. It's cheaper. Okay? That's the only way you convince a guy like Kelsey and Fletch to keep coming back. The Eagles treat their guys. That's right. That's right. You're not coming back to an organization that doesn't care about players or doesn't treat them right, have the top-notch weight rooms on the planet. We'd be willing to take pay cuts. Got to remember something. Brandon Graham could have went to – you know what? Now I know why Brandon Graham didn't go to Cleveland. And the only reason he probably thought about going to Cleveland was because Andrew Berry was there. And I'm sure Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski walked into that Cleveland Browns organization and said this, holy shit, we got a lot of work to do here. Jonathan Gannon must be like on a different planet in Arizona right now compared to where he's come from. I couldn't believe this. When I went from the University of Miami to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, do you know our press room was a mobile home? Our weight room was incredibly awful. Our lockers were terrible. I thought for sure that when I went to the NFL, it was going to be first. It was a downgrade. Then when I went from the Bucs to the Cowboys, I went from the Cowboys to the Fountain Blue. everything immaculate. 3 helmets. My locker had my name on it, things that I'd accomplished, everything, jerseys, shoes, everything all packed up, clean. We had a training room that went for miles. We had a training facility that I've never seen anything like it. Outdoor, indoor, tubs, everything, food, chefs, incredible meals. I used to take my girlfriend, now my wife, and we had, get this, Coach Landry, when I first got there, we had family night or family day, family time, like around 12:30. Your wife or your family or your girlfriend or whatever could come over and you can have lunch together. Then you go out back to meetings and out to practice. Okay. That's how the Cowboys treated you. I never seen Detroit kind of went back to being in between the Bucks. And like, you know, it wasn't the best facility because it was at that old Pontiac Stadium. That's where their facility was at the old Pontiac. You know, hey, from where the Eagles have come from what I hear they have now at the NovaCare Center, my God almighty, you would have not believed how poorly the Philadelphia Eagle players were treated until Jeffrey Lurie bought that team. Nobody would ever have thought that Philly's lockers or their weight room or where they trained or, dude, that thing was a shithole. I went down there when you guys brought me in. When you guys brought me in for me to potentially be signed, I couldn't believe what a shithole. It was worse than the Bucks. This was during Buddy's time. I walked down in there. They had these cages like they were in prison. I'm like, what's this? Not that that's a big, but, you know, it tells you a little bit about how they think of their players. If the Eagles had the wrong ownership, we would have easily become the Bears. The Bears. Bears have had 3 teams since 1963. 61 years, the Bears have had 3 teams. I don't know what they're even rooting with. Okay? I don't even know what they're rooting. Yeah. And Cleveland, they're doctors. Do you trust those doctors now if you're a player and you get hurt in Kansas City? How about the way they mishandled the Nick Chubb stuff? I mean, where's the Players Association for player protection? Man, we're so bad. We're so bad. This is what I talk to you about all the time. Don't look, and to Barb's point, it's not every organization. The Rooneys don't treat people like that. Like Barrett just said, they serve fish on Fridays. They're a very religious organization. Roman Catholics. They when you're a Steeler and they draft you, it's like being in the mob. They don't want you to leave. They don't want you to go, no matter where you're drafted. Last round, second round, first pick. They don't want you to go. I don't know if I've ever told you the story of Rocky Blyer. Rocky's a friend of mine. I don't know how many people. Hey, Tom. Hey, Yale. How about this? How about this as a guy with distinguished credentials? Rocky Blyer's got 4 Super Bowl rings, a silver star, and a Purple Heart, and a Bronze Star because he served in Vietnam. He went to Notre Dame. He blew his part of his foot off. The Rooneys had drafted him before he went to Vietnam. He came back. He couldn't walk. He said to Mr. Rooney, you know what? I'm going to do everything in my power to play again. They hit him. They had him on IR. They did it for 2 years. Do you know, 3 years later, he and Franco Harris became one of the only backfields to have 2 guys go over 1,000 yards as 2 running backs. That's what the Rooneys do. They invest in people. Not a lot of people do that. because he had character. That's the kind of organization you want to work for. People who buy into you, people who trust you, and you giving into it. That's why, again, Jalen Hurts surrendered to the process in Philly where Carson Wentz couldn't. You know why? Can I tell you why? I thought about this 2 nights ago. Carson Wentz felt betrayed by the process. Between Nick Foles and Jalen Hurts, he felt betrayed. Jalen Hurts bought in to the environment, to the coaching. Nothing was given to him, but he bought into it and surrendered to it. These guys are going to take me where I need to go. Carson Wentz couldn't do that. 2 things happened to Wentz. 3 things. He got hit, hurt, concussed. He felt they betrayed him there. He felt they betrayed him with Foles. He felt they betrayed him with Jalen. He felt they weren't loyal to him. Why should he be loyal to them? That's how that thing totally imploded. And then when Doug surrendered, it was over. And it's affected him to this day. He felt betrayed. I don't know if he's wrong, but you got to be mentally tougher than that, especially when you're making $38 million. Okay? When you're making $38 million, you got to overcome that kind of shit. You can't allow yourself to be swallowed up like that because the environment's not conducive to you. People in character and leaders are defined by adversity, not front runners. How are you defined will define you when you lose, not win. Winning doesn't, it's funny. People think winning defines you. Winning defines a perception of you, but the inner character in you is defined by losing because it shows us. I think there's more of a strength in losing and showing your character in loss than in winning. Anybody can be a front runner and celebrate winning. You know how many people could take a loss and use it as fuel for you to be able to get better? You get better because you lose, not because you win. I've seen a lot of that. There's dudes, man, that you're like this. This guy got beat the shit up. He got talked so much shit on. Look at Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is the quintessential guy who, if you don't know his personality, how many teams has he been on now? 3? How many teams is Jimmy Butler? If you don't know his personality, okay, right? You don't know his personality. You can't coach that kid. When the Eagles were 2-5, Hurts could have went into a shell. He embraced the challenge in the process. Butler's been on 4 teams. Well, let me put it to you this way. You know why Jimmy Butler is where he is? Look at the environment he's in now with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. By the way, I think Eric Spoelstra, top 3 coaches in the NBA, maybe top 3 coaches in sports. I've never seen anything like it. Jimmy Butler, you see him and Spoelstra on the sidelines last year? You see them guys almost get into a fist fight? They started barking at one another. You know how many coaches can't handle that? And players? Those 2 guys almost came to blows. Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley love that. How many coaches in sports can deal with that? None. Butler's in the perfect place, the perfect time in his career. You guys couldn't handle him. You guys went with the talent versus leadership. That's been a problem with Josh Harris, though. His entire ownership is gambling on the wrong guy. James Harden, Ben Simmons, Doc Rivers, Elton Brand. Go down the list. Pat Riley invests in winners. That's why he could take a G League team to the NBA Finals 2 of the last 4 years. I know Pat Riley. One of the reasons, hey, get this. Do you actually think LeBron James is LeBron James today if he doesn't have the experience in Miami with Riley? How much of an impact do you think Pat Riley and that organization down there with the Heat had on the championship mode for LeBron James moving forward? How much of an impact do you think that had on him winning that game in that series versus the Golden State Warriors when they're down 3-1? Any impact? Never invest in the horse. Always invest in the jockey because he'll lead you to water. That's Riley telling me that. I asked him how he got LeBron James. This all goes into character and leadership. I asked him how he got LeBron James. Pat Riley had a satchel with 10 championship rings. And he poured it out. He goes, why don't you try one of them on? LeBron picked one up, put one on. He goes, you can have a couple of these. All you got to do is listen. All you got to do is listen. When Pat Riley got to become the coach, and I know Westhead was the coach in that 80 title team, but when he got there, he basically went to captain and told Kareem, you're our leader. Then he went to Magic and said, you got to make him believe he's the leader. Magic knew then he was the leader, like Steph Curry. There's a certain thing about an innate thing that Jalen has like that. Jalen's like Steph Curry. He's making everybody else feel on that Eagle team that they're as important as him and they're the leaders of the team. And that's why he doesn't blow up on the sidelines when AJ gets in his face, because he knows that's a reflection of everything else that's in that life. Dude, winning is such a close-ass thing in that game. Dude, everyone's good in the NFL. Everyone's good. The littlest things that you think is so stupid matter in that league because personalities and egos are so fragile. You have no idea the insecurity that's involved playing professional sports. You live your life insecure. It's the most unhealthiest thing you can do. But when you have an organization that believes in you, buys into you, trusts you, it's so cool to go to work. It is so cool for you to show up and go to work. Not every place is like that. I can tell you, man. You walk into a place. Hey, when I walked, and again, when I played for Jimmy and I walked in there, it was a thrill. I couldn't wait to get there. I couldn't wait to lift. I couldn't wait to eat. I couldn't wait to be a guys. I got to the Bucks. I said one of the most crippling things that cost me so much. In the middle of the season, when all these guys were quitting, I'd lost more games in 1 year than I had in my entire 8 previously. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, I just wish I wasn't playing anymore. When I said that, it was over. I wasn't strong enough. Got to overcome that. You see, when I talk to you guys, I don't talk to you guys from a position of having, you guys always go like this to me. Says your career was this and that. And some of you know the truth why a lot of that had to do with my health. But at the end of the day, I come from a position of failure. Lost opportunities. I think I have more of a handle on it and success in that league than a lot of people do. Because I know the things that I look in the mirror every day and say this. Man, if I had done this, or had stepped over here, did this, shut my mouth. Okay? And that's why when I bring up the Jalen Carter situation, guys got mad at me. I'm not coming from a place of killing the kid. I'm coming from a place to try to help the kid. You have to remember something. All of you in here are fans of his, want success for him. The media doesn't. They want a story. Jalen Carter's success is not a story. Jalen Carter's failure is a story. Covering a guy being a good guy. Hey, how popular was Tim Duncan compared to covering Allen Iverson? Tim Duncan is one of the most celebrated. He has more championships than O'Neal. Greatest power forward in the history of the game. Was he interesting? No. He was no story. Showed up to work. Won his championships. Was one of the most successful players in the history of sports. Every time the Spurs got to the finals, we went, shit, not them again. Shit, not them again. Right? That's what you see with the Eagles. That's what the difference between the Eagles and the Browns and the Bears and the Cardinals is internal. It's not just about picking players. It's about picking the right people. Every year there's 300 players. Picking the right people. That's the trick. Is finding the right people. Hey, this guy runs a 40 versus this guy runs a 40. What separates them? Well, who is he? Who isn't he? What's adversity going to mean to him? Is this guy going to melt down? Do you know the number one? That's why the combines are overrated. Do you know the only thing that's really, in my opinion, worth the shit at those combines is the interview? The rest of it, congratulations. You're running fast 40. You're an NFL prospect. Okay. You're going to, hey, get this. Do you know how many 40-yard dashes you run after the combines in your NFL career after that? None. You will never run another 40 in your life. Do you know that? You think players run 40s every year for condition? They don't do any of that. They'll never run a shuttle drill. They'll never have a vertical jump. They'll never have any of that. They'll never run. You'll run bags. All you do is condition. Make sure you're in shape. You'll go through your drills like bag drills, and you'll go through pushing the sled and shit like that. That will always be there. You don't run 40s. I ran a 4.81. I never ran a 40 ever again after that, well, unless I had to try out for somebody. Okay? But once I got to those teams, I never had to run again. 4.81 RTF at 292, my good friend, with a 28 vertical. Yes, sir. Okay? Keon goes, I always thought the combine was weird because football is a different game with pads on. Keon, me and Chris Spielman used to always say this. Why don't these guys run with shoulder pads on at the combines? Do all their drills in the gear that they're going to wear when they're playing? Why do I care if a guy runs a fast 40 without shoulder pads on? Why would I care? Hey, by the way, Greasy, not only did I run a 4.8, I benched 550. I had a 28 vertical. I had all the intangibles. Just so happens I got sick. Happens. One thing God gave me was the ability to be standing here. Okay? So, I got a daughter now. It's important. Yeah, so, hey, Jordan Davis running that 4.7 at 334, whatever he was. I won't lie, that's probably one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. Okay? I'll tell you who was like that too. Jason Pierre-Paul was like that. He was a freaky athlete like that too. Yep, greasy meningitis, man. Almost killed me. I was in a hospital for a month. I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair, crutches. I went from a wheelchair to crutches. Took me about a month and a half. Biopsies. I was in a bag. Yeah, craziest thing you ever seen. Here's this guy that runs all that, did all that, and I was in a wheelchair. Like, it was a pretty big wheelchair, and it was really fast, actually. My wife used to take me, my girlfriend then. We used to go down to Dallas Medical, and my wife would go around the hallways, and we'd be racing around with other people. She dumped me a few times, but it's all good. Yeah. I want to look at some of the games for week 11. So let me take a timeout. We'll take a timeout now. Do I have time to do that? I got a little bit of time to do that. Okay, let's take a quick timeout. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio, or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
We're here to show you a better way to spend your state income taxes and get the money to where it's needed to most to the thousands of qualified kids.
What we like about Blocks is they really know where the need is.
This program ensures that their dollars come 100% into these kids for their tuition assistance.
If you are able, Blocks makes the EITC piece go very quickly and very smoothly.
Turn your PA state tax liability into need-based scholarships and receive a 90% tax credit.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday. Watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the sports betting show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Let's just watch that commercial. You know that credit card commercial, and the guy goes, "What's in your wallet?" I went, "Nothing." When you have a kid, you'll understand what I'm talking about. What's in your wallet? I went, my wife just laughed her ass off too when I said that. I go, it is out of nowhere. The commercial was on. What's in your wallet? I go, nothing. Hey, man. I mean, hey, look, when you have kids and shit, man, everyone, you know what I'm talking about. What's in your wallet? Nothing. Oh my God Almighty, man! Hey, hey man, my wife goes like this. You know what I want for Christmas? A washer. What's in my wallet? Nothing. My wife wants a washer. You have to understand, we just bought my kid a car, so it's, you know what I want for Christmas? You know what I want you to put under the tree? A washing machine. Oh man. Seriously, I'm going to say this, and I say this with all due respect. If I knew having a kid was going to put me as vulnerable as I am, I'd cut my penis off. Oh man, I don't know. I live in a tree hut by myself somewhere, chasing owls or something. I don't know. Oh God. I don't know. I don't even know if I. Hey, you really want to hear about Week 11 now? After that, what's my prediction Monday night? Oh no, man! Come on, don't let me bury the lead on you like that. Sills, how old are your kids? My daughter's 22. She's the captain of a rugby team. She's sensational. They're actually playing SDSU this weekend, and so I'm going to get a chance to watch her play. And yeah, truth. I never had anybody tell me off more in my life without me killing them. I've never been told off more. Shut up. Oh, okay. She was a kid. We were in Florida. Okay. And I don't know. We were on the beach. The lady sitting there. And she said something. The lady heard me, and I go, you know what? If you do that again to me, I'm going to bury you out here with the crabs out here. My daughter looks over at the two old ladies sitting in their chair, and he goes, he'll never do that. He can't run fast enough. I looked at the old ladies, and I went, man, tell you, if I had to do it all over again. my wife goes, let's go. Prediction for tomorrow night's game now. Wow, man. Baltimore versus Cincinnati. Where is it? Is it in Cincy? Is it in Cincy? I'll look at Week 11 tomorrow. Is it in Cincinnati? I think it. Here, I got it right here. No, it's in Baltimore. It's in Baltimore. Damn, Burrow, Lamar. Whew. I think Baltimore wins. I think Baltimore. And by the way, I'm more of a Lamar Jackson fan than Joe Burrow fan. I'm going to go Baltimore. I'll talk more about the score tomorrow, but I'm more of a Lamar fan. So I would pick Lamar. Okay, I would. Sills, would you bring Sue back? Oh, man, I think you're doing fine at the tackle. Why would you bring Sue? Death? You're number one against the run. I mean, you want to kill everyone? Right? Hey, I like it, though. I like your attitude. You're number one against the run in the NFL by a wide margin. I think, isn't it the biggest number that you've given up rushing, least amount of rushing yards since 1979? Or some crazy stat like that? Right? Some crazy number like that. All right. Guys, I appreciate it. You guys have been awesome. Please hit the like button. Thank you guys so much. That's going to be a great game tomorrow, man. It really is. So we look forward to that. Please, again, hit that like button. We appreciate Barrett Brooks and, of course, Tone coming on. Xander, Big Joe, we thank Tone, killing it. Just absolutely killing it, my friend. I can't wait till tomorrow, too. We'll talk some ball as we get ready to start Week 11 of the National Football League, 2 to 6, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Step stereo.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.